Well, a very good evening to you, race fans. Welcome back to the MC Motorsport French Car Care GT3 Championship. Monday night, as always, brings us some of the best racing you're going to find anywhere on YouTube or indeed any other streaming service. Well, welcome, of course, to Hungaroring for round 5 tonight, where we get ready to take on a very narrow and very twisting circuit that I've heard called Monaco without the walls, which is going to be an interesting kind of a night, I suspect. If you're new to Simple Racing Broadcast, great to have you along. My name's Jared Cole and I'm joined in the booth tonight by Isaac Fogarty from TrackSpot TV. Isaac, welcome back, mate. Good to have you back with us. And how keen are you for this one?
Good evening, Jared. Good evening, everybody watching at home. Super keen for this. Definitely heard this referred to before as Monaco without the walls. One of my absolute favourite tracks anywhere in the world. So super excited to see some exciting racing this week. Obviously missed out last week on what will look like to be a pretty exciting race at Misano, and now, keen to be back in the booth for the 3 races we've got ahead tonight.
I do love a bit of Misano, but I'll be honest, the Hungaroring, I almost thought that I've never seen any racing on it. And then I got to getting ready tonight and went, hang on, I've done some Porsche Cup racing around here. It is a super tricky circuit. It doesn't look it when you sit here and look at this track map, but the elevation changes here are diabolical as a driver. Really keeps you on your toes the whole way around the 4.3 Ks of this circuit, doesn't it?
You have to be pretty much on your toes, the entire lap. The elevation change will catch you. The twisty section is that's the technical term I use. The back end of Sector 2, start of Sector 3. If you don't get that quite right and you're just slightly offline during a qualifying lap especially, you're going to bleed so much time around here. There's pretty much one line through that sector and you just have to absolutely nail it. The curbs as well through the chicane. If you use too much curb, that'll come back to bite you throughout that lap as well. So there's lots of things for our drivers to think about, to focus on, while probably taking in what is one of the best GT3 circuits in the world.
Yeah, will not argue with you on that one. It is an absolute beauty of a thing. The other beautiful thing tonight, the weather absolutely turning it on for us. 20-degree track temps, 19 degrees air, a little bit of humidity around, but only a few clouds, not really anything to speak of. Nice little 14 k an hour breeze as well. And to add to the challenge tonight, though, apart from the track itself, 14 laps, 3 sprint races. It's going to be all out for our drivers tonight, and they're going to have to be absolutely focused from the green light in order to really just maintain the mental concentration that this sort of a sprint race will take, because the chances to pass here are going to be few and far between. Qualifying going on right now. We've got a little bit left. Before we do go and take a look at that, let's take a look at the championship and how it stands as we get on into this evening. Reese Wakefield out in front by just 30 points ahead of Hayden Veld. Danny P, his teammate, a little further back on 808, with Thomas Hinds just outside that top 3. Sebastian Vindel and Chris Miller still in it as well. Liam Tipping and Brad Coates with Ethan Johnson and Josh Harris rounding out your top 10. And a championship race starting to form up a little bit here, Isaac.
Yeah, it's starting to get exciting at the front. Starting to rub our hands together at the idea that maybe as we reach the halfway point of the season, we're going to see these guys battling it out throughout the duration of what's left. And only 30 points between our top 2 drivers and less than 80 points between the top 3. It's certainly closing in at the front, which is what we like to see.
Absolutely is. Let's go and check out some of the qualifying action down on track as we catch these drivers doing their best to get a clean lap in around this track, and that is the tough part, particularly in traffic. Reese Wakefield, our championship leader, we'll start off with him. He's currently sitting in 5th. Almost a second off the pace. Ethan Johnson really getting out there and setting a fast lap early. We're not used to seeing quite so much separation between the drivers this early on, but got to start somewhere, I suppose.
Yeah, that's right. You have to start somewhere, and as everyone's getting their bankers in, we've still got about 8 minutes left in this session for drivers to really set a time. We're just about to reach the halfway point, so there's absolutely a lot of time for these guys to find their lines, find their own little bit of track, really spread themselves out and just, make sure that they get the best lap in. But this man on our screen, Hayden Veld, he's got a bit of work to do in this session. I don't know if he's set a necessarily competitive time yet, but I think he's going to have to start setting one soon as we go to Josh Harris. And I like the little camera down the bottom. You can see live in the cockpit with him. He's very focused at the moment as he runs into turn 1.
Yeah, it's a good way to get a feel for one of these laps as he comes through turn 1 and starts down the hill. This left-hander here Really tricky to find the balance. It's a really deceptive little angle. You actually can't start to push until you really see the exit, and then you've got to try and stay left to get a good run over that little kink and this half straight, I think I'll call it, because it's not really that straight after all. And then Brave here, blind crest into this one, and you've got to use all of the track on the outside, and then a sweeping right-hander that just seems to go on forever as you make your way around. This chicane, Isaac, I tell you what, it's one of my least favourites. It's super challenging to get without racking up and off track or hitting those curbs. Josh Harris makes it look easy, but I reckon that's going to be the source of some pain for drivers tonight.
Yeah, look, it's definitely one of my favourites when I get it right, but when I get it wrong, I do not like that corner at all, and I'm sure it's exactly the same for all these drivers. This circuit, as I said earlier, it's pretty much one line, especially through this part of the track, and if you can get that line absolutely millimetre perfect, then you're dreaming, you're having the best lap of your life. But if you get it slightly wrong, you're going to bleed like 2-3 tenths just through that sector alone. It's going to hurt you. So that's where we're going to see the men from the boys separated, I think, this evening, is who can get that line right, who could just really nail that final sector to maximise their lap time, because it's very narrow around here, very tight and twisty, and the focus is going to be on maximising that run through the final sector, I think.
Yeah, it absolutely will be, I am sure, as Josh Harris completes that lap and makes it look relatively comfortable. He's not setting a super fast pace here. This is what's really interesting here tonight. Everyone really actually struggling to stick with that front group. You've got Ethan Johnson has set himself a very nice time out there, 42.46 while we were on board with Josh. So he's absolutely found his rhythm around here. And Thomas Hinds not too far off the back. So this is looking really promising for the HJR Jinx Shifters entry. He's not had perhaps the best run at some of the other tracks so far this season. He's absolutely looking to reverse that tonight. Less than a tenth off the top time. And then Van Dellen Veld, a little bit further back, but then it just accelerates away, and by a tenth we're already looking at a second back. It's important to note, Reece Wakefield 6/10 off the pace. It's not particularly close at all compared to what we're quite often seeing around this group.
Yeah, this is a bit different from these guys this evening. We're seeing maybe some newer names finding some pace here. This is a very established circuit in this game. I feel like the last time I was here, we were at the Bends, and that was a relatively new circuit. This is a very established circuit, so there's guys that will have done hours and hours and hours at this track and pretty much know it inside and out like the back of their hand. So they might struggle at other tracks, but they'll be able to pull a lap time out here if they've done enough time. And we're seeing a few guys doing that at the moment. Ethan Johnson, obviously, that's a very close gap at the top, I have to say. As I look at the times down the field, it's relatively competitive everywhere at the moment. Josh Harris sitting in 15th, Mitch Curry, this is Thomas Hinds on your screen. He's on a flying lap at the moment, coming towards the final sector. This is Charlie Milliken across the line, jumps up to 23rd with a 44.6, so starting to improve. There's a long way to go. It's a big field in this tonight. There's almost 30 cars by the looks of it. A lot of drivers on the field. Very difficult to find your own piece of real estate here.
Yeah, absolutely. G'day, Bug Club and Gallia. Welcome to the chat, guys. Welcome to chip on in with your expert analysis of this as we do our best to provide something that resembles it. Plenty of action still on track. I do owe Charlie Milliken an apology. It's still showing as a privateer for the moment. I'm not quite sure why, but I'll try and get that sorted out for him. James Salhani starting to make his way up the leaderboard for the start as well, with just a few minutes left here. He's up almost into the top 5 with his times.
Yeah, he's flying at the moment with not that long left in this session, and he's starting to get to the pointy end where if you don't set a time soon, you're going to be struggling. So this time from James Salhani could see him well inside the top 10 in this qualifying session, which would be great for getting a result out of the 3 sprint races we have ahead today, because track position for those is going to be key. This is a track that's super difficult to pass at. I don't know if you have found that in your experience around here, but it definitely for me has always been a track where it's super difficult to pass at, Jared, because it's so narrow.
Yeah, look, it is, but it also offers quite a number of opportunities for picking off other drivers as they make errors, because there's so many spots where you can just get it ever so slightly wrong, and it opens up a huge inside run for you or similar. we see Ryan Palmer just making his way around to finish another lap. Doesn't look like he'll be improving his position a great deal, but he is still already sitting up in 5th. He's likely to lift his time just a little closer, and indeed actually goes ahead of Hayden Veld, so I will eat my words there. Veld is going to have to really put in an absolute flyer on his lap to try and get back up there, but as it sits, a very, very different looking front row compared to what we've seen in a lot of the previous rounds. Some of the regular names are going to have to really fight it through here, and that's going to be really tough to do. Hungaroring does not lend itself to coming from the back of the field like a lot of the other tracks do give you the opportunity to do.
Yeah, no, there's not a lot of room for... I've had a bit of a difficult qualifying. I'm just going to move forward in the race here. It's very much... I had a bit of a difficult qualifying. This is probably where I'm going to most likely finish in the race, unless there's some incidents that happen ahead of me. And obviously we don't have a hope for incidents, but you never know, especially at a track like this with everyone so close. This is Daniel Poulton. He's on a lap at the moment in his Mercedes, the One Performance Racing, deep on the brakes into the penultimate corner. That's a very nice line through there, nice and tidy. He's got a very angry looking McLaren, I think that is, sitting in behind him. It is a McLaren.
Looks like Brad Coates, I think, from AOTT, just tucking him back there.
Maybe that'll be a nice little slipstream down the front straight for him. Comes towards the line for Daniel Poulton, but it wasn't an improvement, and he'll stay in 6th place. So getting to we've got less than a minute to go, about 30 seconds to go in this session as Ryan Newing comes towards the line. He doesn't improve either, so this is getting make or break time for these guys in this qualifying session.
There we go, Charlie. Updated for you, mate. I hope it's be electrical and not JTIT. I can never tell which paint is which or if there's even any difference, so let me know with a bit of a Discord message afterwards if we've got the wrong of the two teams selected there, and I will get it sorted for you. Ryan Palmer at the death comes across the line, 0.04 in it, and snatches it away from Ethan Johnson. That will be qualifying finished, and I tell you what, that is not a bad way to finish off your qualifying session, that is for sure. Let's go to the grid and see how we're lining up here tonight. Ryan Palmer and Ethan Johnson will take the front row with Hayden Veld and Thomas Hinds directly behind them. Sebastian Vandel and Daniel Poulton on row number 3, then James Silhani and Reece Wakefield ahead of Mick Poley and Jeremy Washington, rounding out your top 10 for race number 1 this evening. We move further back, Luke Newing and Mitch Curry line up on row 6 ahead of Jackson Starrett and Thomas Cool, a new entry tonight from Koala Cartel. Then Ruben Dan and Lucas Baker ahead of Chris Croat and Kyle Ridley, with Ian Ward and Josh Harris sneaking into the top 20. Brad Coates and Chris Lashbrook behind them, Nathan Bowman and Keith Logan ahead of Luke Hayden and Charlie Milliken. Then Jared Burns and Dean Powell line up ahead of Luke Patton and Vince Salvatore, with Martin Lipsky and Brian East ahead of Scott Bartine. And then you have Nathan Allen and a couple of race control entries. Doug Gowans, a late entry tonight. I've obviously missed him on my list. We'll try and get him added on in, because at the moment I don't think he's actually set to start, but we are looking at 34 drivers on track again this evening. It is going to be a very, very busy Hungaroring this evening.
Going to be very, very busy. It's not a long circuit either, so by the time you put about 30 cars, they've only got about something like less than 200 meters of road each between them to share, so there's not a lot of room for these cars to spread out. I think in a sprint race, the good thing is we're not going to have to worry too much about lap cars or anyone falling behind, which is pretty handy, to be honest, because I don't think any of the leaders will have to try and focus on navigating lap cars here, so they should not have to worry about that. Fingers crossed, but it will provide a lot of opportunities for people to make mistakes, and we'll see if anyone can come through the field, because again, as we said, not a lot of opportunities for passing around here, but if people make mistakes in front of you, you can move forward. Ryan Palmer, though, really set himself up perfectly, hasn't he, with that pole position? He is in the box seat to hopefully take out this first race. Yeah,
he was just talking a little earlier this week about finally cracking, I think it was about 3,500 iRating, so people are going to make him work for it tonight, I suspect. The shame this race won't count towards that for him, but hey, it goes to show that he should be up there, and nice to see him actually put together a decent lap tonight. G'day Keith, welcome on in to the chat, and Lewis along as well. We've got a few regulars and a few names we haven't seen in a while, so good to have you all along with us. Let's go on down as we wait on the last of the cars to get to the grid here. We are not too far away at all. from a start here this evening as we wait to just see what we have in store. I'm just waiting on our overlay deciding to rejoin us as well, but you know, we've got a shot. There we go. Figured we'd get there eventually. Ryan Palmer on the front row just in time for us to get the green flag at the back of this very, very big grid, as always. And we are ready to go racing. The lights come up. We'll wait for the fire reds. Watch Ryan Palmer. He's always an animal off the start. And we are away for race number 1. As we see the drivers are diving to the inside. And you can see already a lot of movement throughout the field. We've already got what looks to be a bit of carnage back here. And it's not getting any better. We've got cars everywhere. Look at this. There's a spoiler up in the air there. I'm sure of it. Not the start a lot of these drivers would have wanted. We'll go back and we'll take a look at that in just a second as well. But we are away, and Ryan Palmer probably very, very thankful to be out in front. We'll try and get a bit of a rundown of exactly who's been caught up in all of that, because that seemed to have taken out quite a number of drivers there tonight.
Yep, names I've got in front of me that were caught up in that from what I can see. Luke Patton, Ian Ward, Lucas Baker, Keith Logan, Scott Barton and Doug Gowans, I believe, who hasn't actually entered the field. I think Josh Harris was also caught up in that in some respect, but there was 2 80HD Mercedes, which were Ian Ward and Josh Harris, that sort of just went side by side, tried to go into a gap that probably didn't exist that much, and turned across each other. And I'm sure there'll be a lot to talk about in the team truck after that, because that was a little bit messy, but they will be focused in the 80HD garage on the fact that they do have a Mercedes leading the way at the moment in Ryan Palmer. He got off to an absolutely brilliant start, which was largely overshadowed by the action in the background, but he leads this race from Hayden Veld, from Thomas Hinds, from Reese Wakefield, from Sebastian Vardell, which is a very competitive top 5. And that top 5, they're all within about a second of each other, but they've already built 2 seconds back to James Salhani. Yeah,
it's starting to stretch out immediately, and take a look at those gaps through the front 10. That is incredibly unusual for this series. And you can see the drivers trying to get a bit of extra heat into the tyres here as best they can, because it is a fairly cold track, and it looks like we've just had a driver actually pit there. Now, I haven't seen a notification. I'm just wondering if we do have a safety car perhaps lurking down the road. I'm not seeing one out of the pits at the moment. So, no, sure enough, there it is. I do wonder if that's who's behind the wheel of that? It is Scott Bartine tonight. I stand corrected. Scott Bartine is not racing this evening. He's actually driving the safety car for us. So I'll have to go and update that a little bit, and have a word to race control about who let him behind the wheel of the safety car. I'm surprised to see him driving this slow, honestly. Scott Bartine, not exactly known for enjoying driving at a low rate of knots.
A slow pace. He's probably saying to race control, "Could I speed up a little bit, please? Just a little bit. I won't go too fast. I promise. Just a little bit.
Yeah,
only like another 50 k's."
Would not believe him for a second. Well, we'll see how he goes as he makes his way around. Ryan Palmer will retain the lead, but not at all surprised to see that safety car out. Let's go back and take a look at just some of the carnage early on. The first ones to look like it's Ian Ward getting all sorts of turn. Actually, just nails Josh Harris to the wall as well by the look of things. So not the ideal start for the 2 ADHD entries. But certainly not the
carnage.
Yeah, the Lamborghini, Southern Cross Lamborghini there spun around. That was Lucas Baker, and then into the wall hard over to the other side. Luke Patton getting caught up in it as well. He's tried to go around, but where's he going to go at that point? He smashes into Mick Polly's Porsche. It's just carnage everywhere. Keith Logan as well. Also, it was Keith Logan, sorry, not Mick Polly at all. So he gets caught up in that, and then it just continues on from there. It's a rough start for a lot of these drivers.
Very rough start, and thankfully there's 3 races tonight, so they get a chance to do this all again 2 more times, and hopefully by the end of the evening we'll have the race starts down pat. But that was a little bit messy off the start for those drivers, no doubt. there'll be some frustrations boiling over. But it is Ryan Palmer that leads the way under the safety car here, and I think that safety car would be wanting to go a little bit faster, as we've said a couple times. Very happy personally that the Corvette and the Mustangs are doing relatively well at this stage. It's nice to see them sitting up the order. Now, I do have to ask, I feel like maybe I've gone a bit crazy here. Maybe I'm going a bit insane. Was Sebastian Varndell in a Mustang at the Bend and he's now moved to Mercedes? Is that a brand change for him?
I believe that's on the money. You're allowed, as I recall, one change of vehicle in the season. So if you decide that you do want to change from the car that you start with, you're allowed to make a single change. So Varndell obviously deciding that the Merc is a better fit. Hopefully a decision that he doesn't live to regret or something like that. It's a pretty popular choice. We've got a fair few Mercedes through the field, and they're generally viewed as a pretty strong option as far as GT3 cars go. But yeah, look, I don't know. It depends on the track, really. These guys probably racing at a level where it might make a difference. It's one of those things that doesn't make a lot of difference to me, so I drive the Lambo because I like the way it sounds. Anyway, you take what you can from it.
It's the same reason why I drive the Mustang. I like the way it sounds. The can't go past a roaring V8. I think it's just it's one of those sounds that just tickles your brain.
I'm not convinced they don't have the EcoBoost in these Mustangs, but anyhow, just depends on the driver, I suppose. Some know where the secret button for it is, and others don't. Yeah, that's the trick at the end of the day. A couple of extra people dropping on into the chat. G'day, fellas. Good to have you along. As we find ourselves under safety car for this first sprint race. Drivers really trying to keep some kind of temperature in those tyres as we wait for the announcement from race control. I think we'll see the safety car probably coming in this lap would be my guess, but just waiting for confirmation on that. And is that Apex in at 23rd? I mean,
yes, it is.
Apex, I assume. Smashing Apex is the reference there that I'm missing. It certainly is. It took me just a second to put that together. I went, hang on, no, I know who Chris Lashbrook is. I can catch up.
Well, I know that guy.
Catch up. I know this guy. There we go. Just confirmation that the safety car is coming in. So Ryan Palmer will be head of this field as we get back to the main straight from here. It's only a short distance between the safety car getting off, and I think that's the first time we've managed to get the safety car entering the pits as we see the field come through, and it gives you a bit of a feel for just how tight and slow some of this circuit can be. We come around the final turn. Ryan Palmer will have control of the field as we come onto the main straight, and away we go. Green flag racing, and Palmer immediately dives, starts to weave all the way down as we come down towards turn one. Look at him all over the road, just trying to get any sort of heat into those tyres. Up the inside goes Reese Wakefield. He's trying to push through Sebastian Varndell's Mercedes. I don't think he's quite going to get there, but they are side by side in the run down towards two, and it looks as though Varndell will have the better run and hopefully hold on to that spot.
Well, yeah, that's a key. That's one of the key places you can overtake turn two at this track if you get a nice run. Oh, we've got a car backwards in the grass. That's Mick Poley. That's devastating. He was knocking on the door of the top 10, and now he's falling right down the order. He's going to drop right to the back of this field with everyone being so bunched up after this safety car. And now Hayden Veld is having a look at Ryan Palmer on the run towards the chicane. He did look like he was in the inside, but he's fallen back behind again. This is a difficult pass or spot to overtake. You can make it happen if you force your way down the inside, but I think Hayden Veld just trying to bide his time. It's only lap 4 of 14, so we've got a long way to go in this race.
We saw Sebastian Varndell off to the side in the background there as well, so another victim. These tyres are very cold, and it's starting to show for these drivers, isn't it? Really making an impact.
It's starting to take effect, and they'll start to separate. You saw at the start on the safety car restart, they're just weaving across the front straight, trying to get some sort of heat into these tyres. And I think Hayden Veld's tyres have come up to temperature a little bit quicker than Ryan Palmer's had, because he's all over the back of him at the moment. He's getting much better drive out of the corner, carrying so much more speed mid-corner. And now he'll get a nice exit off the final corner. This is going to set him up on the run down the front straight. He could dive up the inside here into one if he can set himself up. He's in the slipstream. That Mercedes has got legs in a straight line, though. It's walking away. Ryan Palmer parks it in the middle of the road. Hayden Veld's going to have to go the long way. They're side by side into turn one. But Ryan Palmer, for now, has held out over Hayden Veld and will maintain the lead of this race. Hayden Veld has a little think about going up the inside at 2. We've got cars side by side now. This is Newing and Paulton going side by side into turn 2, and that comes out with Newing in front in the Aston. No, that's sorry, Ethan Johnson in front of Newing in the Aston Martin. So that was a move. We've got Carl Gaspar in the background as well. That's Ruben Dan, I think,
into the wall. It's I'll tell you what, it's a tough track, and these guys are pushing it pretty hard. Already we're starting to see some of the consequences of that coming through. Not a lot of separation now at the front end of the field, and indeed we've got a real lineup. It's as you said earlier, it's one of those tracks that's really hard to make a pass on. We're seeing that with just how bunched the front of the field is. Ryan Palmer, at some point in all of that, seems to have lost his front bumper, and I don't quite know when that's happened. So that's going to be costing him some pace. Meanwhile, Thomas Hinz managed to sneak through on Hayden Veld as well. So Veld just maybe stepping a little out of line at some point, and Hinz absolutely capitalising on that.
And that's the key. We spoke about how crucial it is to nail that final sector, because if you don't, you'll lose so much time. And Thomas Hinz, he's played that to his advantage. He's found his way past. Now he gets a shot out of the final quarter at Ryan Palmer on the run towards turn 1. That aero compromised Mercedes is going to struggle in a straight line here. Look at them all come out of turn 1. Ryan Palmer is all the way over to the inside, trying to protect a late dive from Thomas Hinz. He's up the inside. Ryan Palmer, they're going to contact. Ryan Palmer's spun at turn 1. He cut back across to try and defend from Thomas Hinz, and now Hayden Veld fancies himself a look at the lead of this race round the outside into 2. This is brilliant stuff. Action aplenty here at the Hungaroring early on. Thomas Hinz now leads this race. Ryan Palmer has fallen all the way down the order, and he'll be super frustrated with that because he just sort of turned back across into turn 1. I don't know if he expected Thomas Hinz to quite be there, but now he's all the way back down the field, and he's going to be struggling in 14th place. Oh, we've got another car sides. It's happening everywhere.
Joe Burns ends up off the track. Just a bit of contact there with Nathan Bowman, I think. And BMW, I tell you what, rock solid on the road. Barely looks like it moved at all. Almost like Joe Burns just pinballed off it and got absolutely sent to the outside of the track. I'll be honest, I'm not super surprised to see Palmer get turned there, because he absolutely tried a move that probably wasn't on. He was just a few seconds too late to try and put that block on. You see him running out very wide there as well. It's not looking like a great night for that particular Mercedes.
It's been a great night for ADHD racing so far. 2 cars collided off the start line. Chris Latchbrook, he's up to 20th place, but Ryan Palmer, he was leading this race, and then that's a pretty aggressive defensive move into turn 1 has resulted in him being turned and spun. And now we still have a battle for the lead though, but it's Thomas Hinz, Hayden Veld and Reese Wakefield. So Hayden Veld crucially sitting ahead of his championship rival at the moment in Reese Wakefield, and hopefully he'll be thinking he can put a move on Thomas Hinz, put a car between himself and the man that leads this championship.
Yeah, Hinz looks pretty comfortable though. He's not really under much pressure from Veld at the moment. I mean, they're certainly cracking on at a decent pace, but Veld's not really throwing the car side to side. He's not trying to fill the mirrors just yet. As we see in the background, James Delhani spears off the track. I tell you what, this track, it makes me feel a lot better about how much I struggled around it. To see these guys having the same kind of problems at the same kind of turns. It is a seriously tricky track, and you do not want to disrespect the Hungaroring, because that is exactly what will happen. As we see Palmer and Coates almost side by side there. Palmer takes the lead through the turn. He's going to try and make the climb all the way back up, sitting in 12th right now. A long way from where he started.
Yeah, and he'll be feeling the effects of missing that front bumper as well. That aero, especially through this next sector, is going to be really evident for him in that current. The lack of front end rotation that he's going to have through here. Saw him go wide the last time around through here. He's a lot tidier, but he definitely won't be anywhere near as quick as the cars in front. So he will be struggling. He's going to have to put in a lot of effort if he wants to get back inside that 10. I will ask as well, because I'm not entirely sure of the sprint format, and I'm sure there's a few viewers at home that might be wondering the same thing. Jared, is it just the grid for the qualifying session early? Does that set the grid for all 3 races, or do we go off where we finished in this race for the next race?
No, look, I would be expecting to see probably a reverse top 5, if memory serves. Don't quote me on it, but I'm relatively sure that what we'll get is a reverse grid. I want to say top 5. It might be top 10. For some reason, the number is just entirely escaping me at the moment. But yeah, you will see the grid for race 2 have that little tweak applied. Otherwise, everyone else will be starting where they finish. So for most of the field, getting those extra couple of places are really, really important. Thomas Krul here with is that Kyle Ridley? No, it's Dean Power. Don't mind me. I just got a little confused with all of the McLarens in the field here tonight. Power, Krul and Ridley all just tucked in together. But good to see that for Dean Power especially, he survived it all. He's up 14 places, so started in 28th, now into 14th. So he's starting to find his rhythm here and make his way up through. Josh Harris, meanwhile, continues to drop further back, and just a little bit of argy-bargy here with Sebastian Vardell all the way back in 17th, so plenty going on right throughout the field. Everyone thinking they're entitled to every piece of this track, and there's just not enough of it to go around.
No, that's right. It's probably say about a little bit, just under 200 metres of racetrack per person, and that's all you get. So there's not a lot of room to share, and I don't think these guys really want to share that much at this stage. You look at Josh Harris after that early incident, he's back up to 18th place, so he's got some speed here. He's definitely got some pace in that car. Will you try and use the rest of this evening to move forward? You've got Sebastian Vardell in front of him, who's on a bit of a comeback as well. And then we've got this battle for 19th place led by Chris Lashbrook. We've got, 5 cars all pretty close together. This is a replay now on our score. Oh, it's a big moment. I'm not sure if he got help there by Luke Hyden, but he made massive contact. He spun at the apex, massive contact with the back of the wall. I'm not sure if he was helped, but that looks pretty messy for him, and he's right down the order with no rear bumper.
Just want to see if there was another incident here. If he's just pulled it up. There's obviously too much damage to that car. Something's gone wrong at the rear end, which is not surprising considering how hard he went into the wall. But I think his dreams of participating in this race for any real points are probably over at this point, as we see Patton under pressure from Charlie Milliken as this little group starts to break up a little, but still out in front of them. Chris Lashbrook just looks ahead to the back of his teammate in Josh Harris. The ADHD boys, look, they're driving together, which is always dangerous. We've seen what can happen when they come together doing that. Thankfully, about enough of separation between them that Lashbrook probably feeling reasonably comfortable to push on.
Yeah, and look, hopefully they'll sure it'll be a very exciting debrief after this one, following that contact we saw earlier on. I definitely do not envy the people that have to sit in that truck and that weren't involved, like Chris Lashbrook and Ryan Palmer, that just have to sit and listen to that debrief, because it's going to be very, very exciting for sure. I'm sure it's a little bit esque of what the McLaren debriefs are like in Formula 1 at the moment, but these guys doing a wonderful job. This is the battle for 13th on our screen now, so there's a couple of cars still that are locked in. Those leaders are starting to spread out from each other, but these guys in the mid-pack, they are right on top of each other still.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, considering how bunched up the front end of this field was for so long. It's almost like Ryan Palmer's spin has been the catalyst for the front end of this field to just really space right out. And you can see some of the gaps. Hinsenfeld still going out in front, but look at the amount of room they've got behind them. Back to Reese Wakefield, Easton Johnson. Danny P just makes it on the screen before we start to turn the corner. It's really, really spread out, and it just speaks to the drivers that have really got this track just mapped out nicely in their head, and the ones who are maybe fighting it a little bit more, not quite feeling the flow yet.
Yeah, and that's right. It's the guys that have done way too many laps on this track that it's not even funny how long they've been around here. But there's other guys that are relatively new to this track because they put a lot of time into different tracks. So that's what you'll find. That's what I love so much about this game. There's so much variety in iRacing that everyone can't put a whole heap of time into everything. You have to choose a handful of tracks that you really like the most that you're going to practice at. And everyone will do some midweek practice here or practice in the lead up to this round, but there's others that, yeah, we'll just do laps of this track for fun. And I think we're seeing at the front end, that's the people that, one, quick at this game, but two, just do laps of this track for fun. If you have a little look up the inside from Dean Powell, and Sebastian Van Dijk goes through into 14th, and yeah, Dean Powell loses another spot. But Van Dijk, he's on a charge at the moment. He's got some pace in that car, trying to get back through. He was in the top 5 early on and had that unfortunate incident. He was facing the wrong way, and now he's back moving through the field.
Yeah, there's quite a few drivers that have had to fight their way back. Most of all, big moment in the background of Kyle Ridley just pulls it up short of the wall. But that's going to drop him back a few extra spots. Great car control, though, to not end up facing the wrong way, and a dangerous spot. Van Dijk now challenging Nathan Bowman for 13th, so he wants to get a move on. Bowman's going to have to defend pretty hard here because Van Dijk will absolutely push. And here we go. He takes a big look up the inside, sticks the nose in, and a bit of contact there. Van Dijk just... That's probably not the ideal spot to slow it down and try and redress. Van Dijk going to stay there and redress the spot, but he's caused some issues for a couple other drivers now as well, and he's going to be caught up in amongst this. Look at this, we're 3 wide. This is not going to end well at all, because they need to get it sorted out before they get there, and looks as though they have only just. It's that's not perhaps the finest moment.
Look, I'm all for redressing. I'm completely a fan of redress the move, as we have Ruben Dan makes a nice move up the inside on Nathan Bowman, sends him wide, and that's going to invite Sebastian Van Dijk back through on Nathan Bowman anyway. And yeah, I'm all for the redress, but you got to do it in a safe spot, and I feel like that was just sort of stopped to the apex of the corner, and it was a little bit messy there from Sebastian Van Dijk. Maybe that's a little bit of the youth and the inexperience, and that'll come with time. And I guess it's easy enough for me to sit here and say that, you know, I would have parked it there, but in the heat of the moment, it's hard to tell as well what you would have done. But I think, yeah, a little bit messy. For the most part, they all got away with it, but there's a couple cars that are now bruised and battered, including Sebastian Van Dijk.
So we move further up the field. Luke Ewing and Jeremy Washington are right in amongst this, as well as Jackie Starrett on the back end of this duo. The battle for 6 starting to just close up a little bit. Ewing's got a little bit of extra pace over Washington's McLaren. Starrett has certainly reeled Washington in over the last couple of laps, just running about 3 or 4 tenths faster last lap, and it does look like Sunwise Esport Porsche is going to have a bit of a moment to think about a move in the not too distant future, but starting to run out of time. This is lap 12 and 14, so we're getting very, very close to the end of this one. And a lot of work to do still for some of these drivers if they do want to pick up those extra couple of spots. Finding the position to do it is always going to be the big ask, though, isn't it?
It's going to be a big task. We haven't got a lot of laps left here for these drivers, so they're running out of time. Ryan Palmer has found his way past Chris Crowe. He's made a massive gap to Chris Crowe in 12th place, so he's really on a charge to try and get himself back into the 10 here. Dean Powell in this little battle pack with Kyle Ridley and the 159 car behind. So
Thomas Cool,
there's three
cartel filling in the lead we read earlier.
There we go. 3 McLarens in a little battle, and how good is this? Because I do quite like the McLaren GT3 car, and as he ranges up to the back of Josh Harris, going to invite Josh Harris into this party as well. So now it's 3 McLarens and a Mercedes in a little battle pack for 13th place, and we've only got probably 2 laps to go this time by, so not a lot of opportunities left for overtaking for these guys. So if you're going to do something, Kyle Ridley, you've got to do it soon.
Yeah, not a great deal of time left. Ridley, as he makes his way down the front straight, looks to the inside. He's not going to be close enough to have a run at Harris, and you do really have to have a very, very good run out of that final turn to actually make something of it at turn 1. Ridley a little bit of a wiggle there, but holds it. Dean Powell and Thomas Kuhl will just continue on behind as Kuhl goes a little bit wide, maybe trying a slightly different entry to this corner. It's a really, really tough one to get right. I've seen people hit the right line through there, and I'm still not convinced it's actually the right line. It just looks so weird but it is the fastest way through, and I still can't wrap my head around it, Isaac.
Yeah, look, sometimes it doesn't look like it's the fastest, probably doesn't feel like it's the fastest in the car, but it definitely is the fastest. And that's the tricky, a little bit of a touch up there on Salvatore for Sebastian Vandel. These guys are getting really racy at this track. They're trying everything they can to find a little bit of a way through, and he's just letting him know that he's there, ranging up to the back of him. Really wants to try and get past, but you need patience through here especially. As we said, this is pretty much one line through here. And if you get it wrong, it's going to cost you a lot of time. And if you can get really close to someone, but then mess it up through here, take the wrong line, you'll lose all that time. You won't be able to make a move on the straight. Whereas if, like Kyle Ridley here, you can get a good run through the final sector, stick close, then down the front straight, there is a potential for him to make a move into turn 1. And if not turn 1, you set yourself up out of turn 1 to get a running towards turn 2. So we'll have to keep a close eye on this. This is a battle at the front as well. There's battles going on everywhere we look. It's busy out there.
It absolutely is. And speaking of out of turn 1, what we've got here, final lap now as we head on down, and Ewing, Washington and Starrett make their way through the turn and start this. It's really it's an awkward straight. I don't know what it is about it, but just never quite feels like I can get into it fully when I'm driving here. These guys obviously having no such issues as they try to wrangle themselves just an extra podium spot here if they can. Up front, Thomas Hinds looking very, very comfortable. Reece Wakefield, though, needs to just stay on his toes because Ethan Johnson is right there behind him. We'll check in with them in just a second. But Washington all over the back of Ewing's Mustang at the moment, just searching for a way to get through. Can't quite find it at the moment. Thomas Hinds going to make this look fairly comfortable for the Corvette. Hayden Veld's right there with him, but won't be close enough to really have an impact here as they come around the final turn. Hinds and Veld will cross the line. That's 1-2, and then 5.5 seconds back to Reece Wakefield and Ethan Johnson as they round the final turn. It's been an interesting one. We'll jump back here though because it looks like Mitch Curry has managed to sneak on through there or something. I'm not quite sure how that's happened, but as it stands, Washington, Starrett and Salhani will just roll on through behind, and there's Ryan Palmer all the way back in 11. Kyle Ridley and Josh Harris side by side around the final turn. This is going to be really, really tight, but Harris with the inside run gets the power down, and he should waltz away with that as they come to the line. And Josh Harris will wrap up at 13th place. Dean Power behind. Looks as though he's going to cross the line with a black flag against his name, so that's going to drop him a long way down the order. That's where you see the final results come through. Brian East and Ruben Dan, the last of the drivers really battling here. Mick Poley just ahead will hold them off for the moment. So he's going to wrap up a spot there for himself. And we wait on just the last couple of drivers now to make their way through. But Thomas Hinds out in front, looking fairly comfortable, you've got to say, with a fairly easy kind of result there for race number 1.
Yeah, made it look easy, didn't he? I thought for a while there, Hayden Veld looked like the fastest car on the track, but Thomas Hinds, he got to the front of the field, and Hayden Veld didn't really let him get away too much, but he also didn't make it difficult for him either. He just sort of, I don't know if he cruised out in front, but he certainly wasn't feeling too much of the pressure. He made that look easy, did Thomas Hinds, and yeah, take that victory in race 1. He'll have to work for it in race 2 though. If they do reverse top 10, he'll be starting all the way at the back. So this is going to be a bit of a challenge now to come back through the field, but a good opportunity, I think, for Reece Wakefield, who struggled for pace in that race, just dropped off those lead two to get some valuable points back on the likes of Hayden Veld.
Yeah, absolutely. So there we go, a reverse top 10. I wasn't far off the mark with one of my guesses anyway. This outlines up for the start of race number 2. The drivers will be straight into this one. James Salhani and Jackson Starrett on the front row ahead of Washington and Curry. Then Ewing and Poulton on row 3 ahead of Ethan Johnson and Reece Wakefield. Hayden Veld and Thomas Hinds, after a fairly comfortable drive, are going to have their work cut out for them if they want to get back up front here, because they'll have to fight their way through 8 fairly quick drivers in front of them. Look further back through the field, the rest of them will start as they finished in the last race. Palmer and Crote ahead of Harrison Ridley, then Thomas Cool and Chris Lashbrook ahead of Patton and Bowman, Jared Burns and Mick Poley behind them, Brian East and Ruben Dan 21st and 22nd ahead of Lipsky and Varndell, then Dean Power and Brad Coates ahead of Salvatore and Milliken, Lucas Baker and Keith Logan round out your top 30, with Luke Hyden and Scott Bartine sneaking in there, although that gives you a bit of an idea of just how far back some of the other drivers were. I think with Ian Ward and Doug Gowans actually recording time behind Scott Bartine, which is an interesting one. I'll have to try and figure out what on earth has happened there. But in any case, that's our grid for race number 2. We are just about ready to go racing again. We're just waiting on the drivers getting to the grid, and we'll be on for another 14 laps.
How exciting!
Why not? Why not?
I was in the middle of taking a drink of water when that happened, but no, super excited. That was an action-packed race one. Like, honestly, I think this series provides some of the best racing in terms of just action in GT3 cars, and they just never let you down either. GT3 cars as well. No matter where you go to watch, I feel like there's always action. But these guys especially. They like to get the elbows out, no matter if it's lap 1 or lap 14. They don't care. Their elbows are going to be out anyway as we see them head out onto the grid. But I'm very excited to see what happens in this race with the reverse grid. I'm super excited to see some of these faster guys have to work their way through the field, while we see if anyone that's sort of was caught back in that pack early on has the pace to stay at the front, and maybe were just held up by the fact they were surrounded by other cars in front of them. Because you never know, sometimes when drivers have clean air, there's pace there that wasn't able to be unlocked in race trim when they're in a battle pack.
Yeah, I reckon the one to watch here, Jeremy Washington starting in 3rd. He had some good pace in the McLaren throughout that race. Really just couldn't get much of a move through the field. So I reckon there's a real chance here for him to just stick out in front and make life very, very difficult for those drivers that are likely to try and pass from behind. You've got the two one-performance racing entries. Danny P and Reece Wakefield are sitting right there, ready to help each other along as well. So they're going to have to, for Ethan Johnson and Luke Newman particularly, going to have to be really, really switched on here. We get ready to go racing for race number 2 here, the second of 3 14-lap sprints. And we are green underway. A great launch from Luke Newing in the Mustang, and looks like a far less carnage this time around as we come on down towards turn 1. Looks like we might even make it that far without all the cars spearing off the track, but we are going 3 wide into turn 1. Starrett Salhani and Mitch Curry all fighting out for the front of this race. There is not a lot of track room there, but they're making it work. Have a look at them flowing on down as we get towards this first left-hand hairpin. There's not going to be a lot of room for any of these drivers to sneak on through here.
No, there's not going to be a lot of room at all. It's just James Salhani takes the lead of this race over Jackson Stewart and Jeremy Washington. We did predict he was going to get off to a good start here. He has got off to a fairly good start sitting in 3rd, but he's going to have his work cut out for him trying to get up to the lead of this field. Mitch Curry in 4th. Hayden Velbo up to 5th off the start. And Ryan Palmer up to 8th. Where is Thomas Hinz? Thomas Hinz is down to 13th off this start, so not the start he would have wanted as Dan Poulton goes up the inside of Luke Newing, who gets the position there. I think it is switching back and forth. We've got a car around.
Thomas
We've got multiple
Cool,
cars
Luke
around.
Patton.
Others came. Thomas
Cool
Luke
gets
Patton.
all sorts of messed up there, and that's dragging that rear bar. And look at the rear left, just
That
absolutely hovering off the ground. So that'll be some pretty significant repairs, I think. Back up towards the front, Starrett, Washington and Curry all amongst it, and as they battle it out for the, we're not going to say minor placing by any stretch, but for the lower podium placings, James Salhani saying thank you very much, I'll wander on up the road, and starting to build himself a little bit of a lead here.
He's starting to walk away with this. Maybe he's the one that had the untapped potential in terms of his pace in the Mustang. Obviously, Reece Wakefield going side by side with someone in the background there, trying to get some positions. Thomas Hinz up to 12th now, and this is Dan Poulton and Ryan Palmer. So Ryan Palmer on the charge back through the field after qualifying on pole position. Looks like the inside into turn 1 on Dan Poulton. Can he get that move done? He does. There's still a little bit of overlap though, so Dan's going to come back at him. He's going to have the inside line on the run towards turn 2. This could leave Ryan Palmer in a bit of a tricky position. They're still side by side, but it's going to be Dan Poulton that holds on to that position for now. He stays in 6th, and Ryan Palmer's going to have to just wait a little bit longer if he wants to get up into that 6th place spot. But he is trying to push. He's definitely got pace around here. He just needs to get up towards the front of him.
Have a look at the train of cars. We saw this at the start of last race as well, though. everyone's struggling to separate out, and it's hard to imagine how 14 laps later we had cars separated by a couple of seconds almost up and down through the field, because right now we've got less than half a second between most of the field from Jackson Starrett back to, probably about Ruben Dan in 18th. Somewhere around there. That is not a lot of separation at all. Have a look at this though. We're still side by side. Wakefield now just tucking in behind Josh Harris. Can't quite get the move done, but still we battle it out. And the front 8-9 cars, very little in it. Not a lot of room to play with here at all. It does look like though. We've got a safety car that has been called. So this will start to compress the field up. Let's see if we can find what's done that. I think it might have been Lucas Baker, actually, who's had the biggest issue there, and we'll just see if we can find that. And what's happened for the Lamborghini? Gets it very sideways, and then nowhere to go there for who's that? Looks like is that Charlie Milliken? Tell me it isn't. That motor's done. Either way.
That motor is, look at the smoke coming out of it here. That car is not going anywhere at all. That is game over, which is super disappointing for this. But yeah, safety car. Now we've got another replay. This bright coats. Gets a hit from behind. Yeah, that's right.
Gives him a bit more space to recover. So he'll be very thankful for that, I am sure. As we find ourselves behind the Mercedes safety car once again. It's got by time behind the wheel.
And I think he's saying, please, can I go faster? Are you sure I can't go faster? As you see,
please, sir,
this is a car
some more.
I want some more speed. I think he's trying to unlap himself. That car that just went past.
That'll be Thomas Kuhl, I can't tell, getting the wave by there. He's going to have the foot down and try and keep pushing through. It does look like that was Charlie Milliken that got caught up with Lucas Baker before, which is really unfortunate for him. And plenty of damage. They're both in the pits now with meatball flags, so we're getting towed back, and hopefully they've got a fast repair up the sleeve, but I don't like the chances.
No, but hopefully the safety car gives us a bit of time to neutralise the field, gives everyone a chance to assess where they're at. Just another replay now. Who's this going on board with?
Charlie
spinning in the back.
Straight into Lucas Baker.
Nowhere to go.
Yeah, what else could he do there? He's tried to make the right call to go off the track and around, but unfortunately, it looks as though Baker had just rotated the car far enough that when he started rolling again, he went backwards instead of forwards. And that's all it takes sometimes. We just get confirmation safety cars coming in. So James Salhani will have control of this field as we come around to start this next lap, and take a look at the view back from his car. Jackson Starrett itching to get going.
Itching indeed. Just a couple quick notes on some movers so far in this race. Hayden Veld up 5 spots into 4th. Kyle Ridley up 6 spots into 8th. Ryan Palmer up 4 spots. Sebastian Varndell up 10 spots into 14th. And Keith Logan also up 10 spots, as well as Ian Ward in 22nd, up 11. So there's some guys that have a lot of pace that have moved up spots, and this safety car's giving them a chance to neutralise, giving them a chance to take a breath, have a little breather. And now we go racing again as we get underway and the run towards turn. We've already got cars going side by side in the background, Jared. The gloves are off, and we haven't even made it to turn 1 on the restart.
Yeah, I don't want to look away here, because I'm sure there's going to be more carnage not too far behind. Look, we're still going 2 wide out of 1. Everyone pushing. I think we're actually 3 wide in the background there with perhaps Ethan Johnson as well. But all of these drivers, I tell you what, they're finding room on a track that characteristically doesn't have a bit of contact there into the back of Thomas Hinz, and he goes around. Looks like Ethan Johnson just misjudged the braking there, and Thomas Hinz doing everything he can to get rolling and get out of the way there, because he didn't want to be stuck on the outside of that curb any longer than he absolutely had to. But that's dropped him all the way back now to 28th up front, and we've got Ethan Johnson and Jamie Washington and Hayden Veld just trading a little bit of paint there on their way through. So everyone just trying to get themselves re-established into some kind of order here. But have a look at the battle. Jackson Starrett goes through. He goes for a bit of a slide as well. Maybe a little assistance from Jeremy Washington, and everything in the end somehow works out okay. Thomas Kuhl, meanwhile, just at the fastest lap back there in 30th at 1:46.09.
He is flying at the moment, Thomas Kuhl. He's 49 seconds back, but that's what clean air can do, is a little bit of contact between these guys as they run through. That's Stewart, Washington, Poulton. So a lot of drivers in here that are really going gloves off at the moment, and Ryan Palmer's up to 4th place. Hayden Veld's up to 2nd. Mitch Curry in 3rd. So the man that owns and runs this series is up into 3rd place. He's on a podium, and I think he'll be saying, I think he'll be hoping Ryan Palmer doesn't get too close to the back of him, as I think just as James Salhani's just gone purple as well, so he's just taken the fastest lap of the race from Thomas Kuhl into turn 1 around the outside from Washington. He's the man with number 1 on the door, so he's got the skills, he's got the talent, and he's trying to put it on Dan Poulton at the moment to just make sure that he holds on to that position, and he certainly does. So he's going to make these boys work for it if they want to move up the field.
Yeah, and plenty of positions trading this time around, which is a little unusual for this track. I mean, you don't see that many passing opportunities, but everyone, I think, they've just kind of figured it out in race 1 that the only way to make it happen is to really force the 2 wide run. Have a look at how much they're throwing these cars around to try and get alongside through some of these turns. As you see Danny P just hassling Jeremy Washington. Kyle Ridley's right behind him with teammate Reese Wakefield. My goodness. Trying everything he can to catch up to the back of his One Performance Racing teammate. Meanwhile, out in front, James Salhani is he doesn't have a huge lead, but he's starting to open it up a bit, and Hayden Veld's going with him. Mitch Curry and Ryan Palmer they're in the background, but not really in the fight for the top end of this field just at the moment. Plenty of other battles going on though. Ryan Palmer and Mitch Curry just swapping spots there. Palmer goes through, and Curry just no answer at this stage. Going to try and just hold on to the back of him and maybe have a run down into turn 1. It's worth a shot. It'll be tough to stick with the Mercedes though.
Yeah, it's always worth a shot. You never know, but it's going to be tough. Those Mercedes are just really quick here, aren't they? And I think they're quick everywhere, to be honest. But he's going to give it a go. Ryan Palmer though, he is flying. Opportunity now to try and catch back up to these guys. Get himself. He's on the podium. Try and get himself into maybe potential for a race win, which would be good, because he was leading the first race early on, and then that incident obviously with Thomas Hinds, who's now having to fight back to the field. He's up to 21st though, so he's putting in a shift, and we've got a battle at the front. So this is Hayden Veld. He couldn't quite get past Thomas Hinds in the first race. He's now got James Salhani in front of him. He's much closer to James Salhani than I think he was for the most part to Thomas Hinds. So this could be an opportunity for Hayden Veld to try and find a way past. Obviously, very tricky to overtake around here, but I'm sure he can find somewhere to make it work.
Yeah, it's a tough spot, but it's all about sticking with him. Look at it though. Veld is really, really pushing Salhani along here, almost bump drafting him through this section and urging him on to just increase that gap. Down to 2 seconds now, back to Ryan Palmer, and continuing to grow despite the pressure that Salhani's under here from Hayden Veld. So the two of them working well together, which is a little unusual, I'll be honest. Have a look at the background. Mitch Curry is all over the place. Manages to get it back on track. Somehow doesn't take out Jackson Starrett behind him. He's going to end up with a fair slowdown to clear though, and you'll see him drop down a few positions here, I imagine, as he tries to just burn that off.
Yeah, this is going to be super frustrating for him with the slowdown. He's got so many cars right behind him as well. There's a massive pack of cars, pretty much all the way down to 12th place. They're all within about a second of each other. Even you could argue even down to about I don't know, 14th place where Chris Croat is. So a slowdown here is going to cost you a lot of time, and he seems to have cleared it, which he might have got away with it more than I thought he would have. But these guys riding behind, they're going to be absolutely on the rails trying to get past. Look down the inside here from Poulton on Washington. No, he's just going to try and come back in this second phase of the corner because Washington left him room. So he opened the door, but I don't think he's... it's still side by side. It's all still going on. I look away. I think it's done, and it's not done. We've got Ethan Johnson and Kyle Ridley going side by side in the background as well. We've got cars battling everywhere.
Sebastian Vardel's in on as well. Washington's run very, very wide. That's going to open it up. But have a look at this. Ridley sandwiched in the middle of Johnson and Varndell. Varndell's having a big look up the inside. That's a brave move through the chicane. He's going to force Ridley very, very wide indeed. And you can see them just nudging doors there. It looks as though Ridley's managed to hold on to that spot. I have no idea how, but somehow he's managed to hang on to it for the moment. Varndell threatening though. We go up front because Hayden Veld is all over the back end of Salhani and really looking for opportunity. Almost has a run at it there. Salhani sticks to the inside. He's going to defend hard. This is an opportunity for Veld now to really push. Here comes Ryan Palmer as well. So he's broken away after getting past Mitch Curry and really starting to reel the front two in. He wants to make up for race number 1, and he's certainly on track to do it if these two can't figure it out pretty soon.
Yeah, he's certainly on track to maybe just invite himself into this battle, three-way battle for the lead with 6 laps. Oh, looks to the inside, covered off by Salhani. So Hayden Veld has to go the long way around. He's going to try and look for the switchback, but Salhani's just positioned that car perfectly.
And here comes Ryan Palmer.
To Ryan Palmer, so he's going to bring himself into that party. Look up the inside of Hayden Veld into 2. There's a little bit of door banging, maybe. They think they got away with it. But now, Hayden Veld has gone from a very bold move to look to the inside to now being invulnerable and now losing a spot to Ryan Palmer, who could try and set up to James Salhani here. So this is getting spicy at the front with these three.
Absolutely is. And here's Varndell again looking up the inside of Cole Ridley. Ridley's got nudged to the outside, goes up and over the ripple strip, and he's going to pick up a slowdown there, which is, I mean, that's going to hurt him here. Varndell's back to the inside. I don't think Ridley's going to take this one lying down. Watch him here as Varndell forces his way through. So Ridley's going to pick up another slowdown there. Varndell, though, has just picked up the black flag. So whether that's an incident count, I think it might be. But contact there as the three of them get side by side. And Sebastian Varndell ends up sideways at the exit of that turn. That is a really, really dangerous spot. He's just going to back it off the track there, get rolling again. But down through the field he goes.
Yeah, that's another incident for Sebastian Varndell. It's going to cost him key positions. He worked so hard to get back through the field. It's all come undone
just
here.
Impatient though, wasn't it? Just really just pushing where there wasn't a move on. And I understand, of course, you've got to do that a bit here at Hungaroring, but I don't see how that was going to end any other way that time around.
Yeah, it's a spin here for, I believe that's Nathan Bowman, and he's now facing the wrong way. So we're starting to see some really some fast guys, some guys that are pointy end of the field consistently make mistakes and have issues, and that's really just starting to bring some new names to the, well, not necessarily new names, but some different names to the forefront than what we're used to seeing this season into turn 1. They tried to make it 3 wide there. Ridley, Burns, Croat battling away. Thomas Hin's also not too far off the background here. He's going to try and invite himself in. This Chris Croat, look at the front bumper on that Mustang. It's just sort of hanging off, flapping around, isn't it? I think he's just jumped away for a second in his back now.
It's not in great shape, we'll be honest. I'm surprised it's hanging in there and hasn't just torn off yet. But what it's done is it's left him really vulnerable in amongst this little group, because he's going to be losing quite a bit of front downforce, and that's going to cost you a fair bit of corner pace here. Ridley's taking advantage of it. Burns is right there as well. Chris Croat, though, through these slower sections, he's still pushing hard, so he's still fighting for it. It's just he's going to have his work cut out for him. He's only got 5 odd laps to hang in there, and it's going to be a very, very big ask for him to make much more of it than where he is right now.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a huge task for him to hold on to even try and move forward through this back into the top 10. I think Kyle Ridley, he's got no rear bumper. Chris Croat, he's got a half missing or half hanging off front bumper. He's looking up the inside for Burns there. We come back to this battle for the lead. So Burns and Croat going at it, but now these guys at the front. Justin Salhani, Hayden Veld's found his way back past Ryan Palmer, so they're trading positions at the moment, but the one who's crucially not trading any positions is Justin Salhani. We see almost a mirror image, a little bit of door banging through turn 1 for the race leader and Hayden Veld. Ryan Palmer not quite close enough to make the same move that he did last time. Stick, he wasn't alongside quick enough. But they're really getting the gloves out here. They really all want this win. And Hayden Veld, he sees a key opportunity to get some more points again on Reece Wakefield. Maybe even if he can continue this form and Reece Wakefield continues to struggle the way he is, he could leave this around the championship leader.
Yeah, look, and Veld he's almost getting impatient here, right? Salhani's doing an amazing job defending out in front and making it impossible for Veld to get that Lamborghini through any of the gaps. You've seen Salhani just sit on the inside line anywhere where Veld gets a bit of a run on. He's just nailing the defensive effort here, and if he can hold on for another 4 laps, I mean, that's a big ask, but if he can do it, then he's got a race win sealed here. As long as he doesn't push Veld's buttons enough that Veld does something silly and spin Salhani, I think the worst that Salhani can hope for here is a podium position. But I tell you what, he'll be almost able to taste that P1 spot at the moment. We see Veld just take a moment to look up the inside. Salhani's got a better run out of the corner. Salhani will sit on the inside of this one as well, so Veld doesn't get an opportunity to have another run at it. That's going to slow him down just enough for Ryan Palmer to be thinking about another run as we come down the straight. Once again, lap 11 of 14. There's not much left in. There's a few moves in the background as well. We may as well check in with this group as well, because you've got Starrett, Curry, Wakefield, Daniel Pullman, Ethan Johnson all right there in amongst it. Mitch Curry under attack now. Reese Wakefield has the inside. Curry moves out to make sure there's plenty of room there, and he'll go on through. Now Hayden Veld and Ryan Palmer further up. Palmer's going to look for that same move. A little bit of contact, and around goes the Lamborghini. Veld gets spat off the track, and he'll rejoin right into the middle of this second battle pack.
Yeah, it's a really awkward spot to have to try and rejoin. I'm sure Shields will be having a look at that one, see what they certainly think of that. No doubt, this is Ridley and Hins battling away now. I think he really wants that last spot in the 10, but I think Thomas Hins, his car looks in a little bit better shape than that of Kyle Ridley at the moment. I think it was easy pickings for him. Look how much he's sort of disappeared up the road already, and now Mick Poley in the background will want to fancy himself to go at Kyle Ridley as well. But they're still going at it. Hayden Veld now, he's back behind Reese Wakefield, up to 4th. So that key finishing position that Hayden Veld had has now gone away as a result of that battle with Ryan Palmer.
Yeah, and look, it was going to happen, right? I'm a little surprised it happened the way it did, but the way Veld was pushing, he was putting himself in some pretty risky spots, and I was kind of expecting that to actually be what ended up with someone spinning. Ryan Palmer, though, well alongside, and Veld just perhaps not giving quite as much respect to the guy alongside him as perhaps he needed to avoid getting turned. I'm not going to say it was necessarily his doing or Ryan's. That's for the stewards to figure out. But have a look at Mitch Curry and Ethan Johnson coming down the inside. Curry's defending hard. He wants to hold on to P5. He's going to make Johnson really work for it. And Veld in the background dives up the inside of Danny P, so he's going to get that spot and start to move his way through. Thomas Hins, meanwhile, just set the fastest lap of 1:43.04. So he's back in P10, has just got himself inside for that reverse grid in race number 3.
Yeah, which is that's exactly what you want. You want that pole position for reverse grid. And I think he'll probably make some inroads on these guys. I don't know if he'll catch them, but we could see Thomas Hins go for 2 race wins tonight before the evening is over. And this is Mitch Curry. He's now going to lose another spot to Hayden Veld. So I think that was that a slowdown, or was that just maybe struggling a little bit with pace there?
Mitch Curry has picked up a slowdown, but I think it's actually from running wide on that kink exit. So he's going to have to try and burn that one off here. With Danny P and Jeremy Washington all over his back bumper. So not your favourite place to be when you've got to try and just bleed off a bit of time.
No, I definitely wouldn't want 2 cars sitting in right behind me. He's now bled it off enough, and he's actually gapped them a little bit. So that sort of worked in his favour. Slightly, this is Reese Wakefield and Jason Stewart going at it for the last spot on the podium. Reese Wakefield, he knows that Hayden Veld's lurking in behind. He does not want to. He's not want to waste any time. He wants as many cars between himself and Hayden Veld as possible, and he is searching for a way past that Porsche. But Stewart's making that. Starrett, sorry, is making that Porsche as wide as he possibly can at the moment. This will be the last lap.
We'll be getting close. We've got one more after this, if my count is right. So. Lap 13 and 14, we've still got another to go here. We're getting close, but Wakefield's still got plenty of time to sleep. He looks to go around the outside and try and set himself up on the inside, almost touching there, and you can see Jackson Starrett really forcing him to the very, very edge of the track, but Starrett just blinks first and backs out of that where I don't know if he had to, but probably not a bad decision considering what's happened to the likes of Hayden Veld defending the inside of that turn entry. It's something you've seen happen already, and Starrett somehow comes away with it, but here comes Reece Wakefield looking around the outside of this sweeping right-hander. Can't quite get done. Ethan Johnson's going to be right there to try and take advantage as well as we get through this horrible bloody chicane. I'm still not a fan of it. I don't care what you say, Isaac. It's just, it is not my favourite chicane in the world.
I run on the theory you don't like it if you can't take it properly.
Yeah, that's
most
fair.
people
That's
don't
fair.
like it because they can't. Most people can't take it properly. It's a very difficult corner to get right. I think I've taken it properly once, and I was like, actually, I like this corner. And then the next time I got it wrong, I was like, actually, I don't like this corner anymore. It's a bit like golf, you know. Sometimes go and play golf. It's really good. You're like, I love golf. Next time you go and play golf, you do terribly. You're like, oh, I don't like golf anymore. It's a terrible sport. So I think that corner, I think I should rename it to golf because it's a bit like golf. But this battle, now we'll have one lap to go when we cross the line. And Reece Wakefield, he can't find a way past, and now he's got a very fast Ethan Johnson and an even faster Hayden Veld right behind him. So this is the last lap. Look at them sort of weave back and forth across the straight to try and break the toe. Reece Wakefield does not want to give anything to these two sitting right behind him.
Here comes Hayden Veld, takes a big look up the inside of Ethan Johnson. A little bit of panel rubbing there as they squeeze right to the edge. Veld's forced his way through, so Johnson will drop back to 6th, and Veld just defending that inside of the line a little. But Ethan Johnson right back on his tail, so threatening with some pace as well. Reece Wakefield, Jackson Starrett continue their battle up ahead with just a little bit of extra breathing room now as Veld and Johnson sort themselves out. Out in front, James Salhani still maintaining that position ahead of Ryan Palmer. We'll keep our eyes on this one at the moment, though, because Reece Wakefield is throwing everything and the kitchen sink at Jackson Starrett to try and manufacture some kind of a way through and past that Porsche. It just, honestly, it's the most composed Porsche I think I've ever seen.
He does not look phased, does he? It's almost like he doesn't have a rearview mirror. He's not looking behind him. He's only looking forwards. He's not concerned with Reece Wakefield behind him whatsoever. He's just running his own race in his own little world, and Reece Wakefield, I'm sure, is just like, oh, I just want to get past him. The pace of that Porsche is second to none at the moment. He has defended extremely well by really not defending at all. He's just sort of driven as he normally would have, but he's just had the speed. But this was a very close battle for the lead. Ryan Palmer will finally get his second place. It's going to be James Salhani that takes the win in race 2. Congratulations, James. Led from start to finish. What a result.
Yeah, great drive. Fantastic defense. Have a look at these four coming through, though. Starrett, Wakefield, Veld, Johnson. No other changes in that lineup. Reece Wakefield, well off the back of Starrett at points throughout that race, but recovered beautifully. And now we just wait on the rest of the field coming through. There's only a couple of battles still going on. Keep your eye on this one with Ian Ward and Nathan Bowman taking it all the way to the line as well. And it looks as though Ian Ward should get their Bowman run very, very wide on the exit. So that'll actually be problematic because he's crossed the line with a slowdown. So that'll be a black flag for him. He's going to drop a long way back down through the results as well. That's a really, really rough spot to pick up that slowdown. But it is the way it's turned out. Anyhow, James Salhani, meanwhile, out in front, he's just taking a nice little cruise around to enjoy the win here, and a very, very well-deserved one because he was under attack the entire time that we were underway here tonight in race number 2. 14 laps, and Salhani's just handled that beautifully.
Oh, he was under pressure the entire race, but he didn't phase him. He drove absolutely brilliantly, and a very well-deserved win for him in this second race. He'll have to start from 10th now, though, so he's got a bit of work cut out for him if he wants to make it 2 races tonight. Thomas Tins, he'll be in the box seat to take that race win in the second race if he can. In this last race, sorry, because he's in 10th, so he'll start from pole position. Just a quick shout out to a couple of big movers in that race. Ryan Palmer and Mick Polly up 9 spots in that race to finish second and 11th respectively. Ian Ward up 16 spots in that race to finish 17th.
Big moves.
So it was a big moves in that race.
We'll go back and we'll take a look at the Heat 1 results because, of course, we don't have a lot of time to check in on those between heats in the sprint rounds. Thomas Hinz and Hayden Veld finishing up front in race number 1 with Reece Wakefield, Ethan Johnson, Danny P, Luke Ewing, Mitch Curry, Jeremy Washington, then Starrett and Salhani rounding out your top 10. Then we jump to race number 2, and James Salhani with the reverse grid takes full advantage of that, ends up taking the win. Ryan Palmer coming home just behind him, and then a big gap back to that group. Jackson Starrett, Reece Wakefield, Hayden Veld in there in 5th with Johnson and Poulton there. Mitch Curry finishes inside the top 10. Jeremy Washington back in 9th. Thomas Hinz sneaks his way back in to P10, which for the final race is a nice little spot for him to be starting from. It'll get him out in front with a bit of clear air to play with, and given the pace that we saw from him in race 1, I reckon that's probably the ideal spot for him to be. We've got a couple of minutes here, folks, before we do get underway, so we might take a moment to just have a quick chat to James Salhani. James, how are you, mate?
Stoked, mate. That was an awesome race.
Look, it certainly looked very, very good from our seat. Some brilliant defending from you right throughout that second race. How much were you feeling the pressure? Because for me, I reckon I would have been sweating buckets.
Yeah, look, I sweat buckets in the summer in my PC room anyway because no aircon. But yeah, I was struggling with that rear and somehow managed to keep it together.
Yeah, and look, Ryan Palmer for his part didn't do anything silly behind you, which is a nice change from ADHD. I'll give him that. But good to see him just look for the opportunity, not seeing it, not actually forcing anything that would have taken you both out of that. And so a good result for both. Tell me the track conditions here tonight. We've seen quite a number of drivers just spearing off track, even a couple of laps in. Probably the first time a lot of people have spent a lot of time in race conditions here at Hungaroring with the new tyre model and the GT3s. Just how hard is it to get them up to temp when we're racing with such a cold track here tonight?
Yeah, look, I'm finding it decently hard. Normally I'm up to temp on the second lap, if not the start of the third, but it takes, for me, 5 laps to get into it. So it's really about just lifting in places you really wouldn't in the first few laps to, I guess, baby it around the track as much as possible.
Well, mate, you've done it brilliantly there in race 2. Congrats on the result. We'll let you get back into the cockpit and get ready to go racing once again, hey?
Yep, thanks for that. You guys have a good night.
Cheers, James. Good to chat to you, mate. James Salhani takes the win in race number 2. You've got those results on the screen right now. Isaac, I don't quite know what to expect for this final race. We've had a little bit of everything thrown at us so far here tonight. A range of incidents for all sorts of drivers who were showing some real pace throughout their time running smoothly, but we're seeing drivers just getting turned or turning themselves, and really just you can't fight back at this track, can you? Once you fall back in the pack, you've got a lot of work to do.
No, that's right. And again, as we said, as I think you coined the term earlier, Monaco without the walls. So there's no real danger as such to going off track and having a spin or making a mistake. You might get a little bit of bumper damage here and there, but it's nothing race ending unless it's a major incident with a couple other cars. But it does put you back in the track, and because it is Monaco-esque, it's super hard to pass around here, as we've seen. Hayden Veld had to sort of force his way through on a couple of occasions, get the elbows out, bang some doors, and that's what you have to do if you want to make gains around here. We saw Ian Ward up 16 spots. He's someone that could definitely get the elbows out if he needs to. And yeah, I think it's interesting. In a way, it's good to see some of these top guys, these guys that we see as the pinnacle of the sport, and probably a little bit too perfect. It's good to see them making a couple of mistakes, but at the same time, I know how they're going to be feeling in that car. They're going to be super frustrated with the fact that they are making mistakes and that they are, spinning here and there. But again, they're fast, so they're coming back through the field and they're still getting top 10 results.
Fair thought for race control and the stewards, who are going to have just a little bit to look at tonight, I reckon, after those first couple of races. We've got one more 14-lap sprint to go. This one's going to be over before you know it, folks. So take this moment to go and get yourself a bit of a refill because we are just about ready to run you through the grid for race number 3, the third of 14 sprint laps here this evening. And this is how it stacks up for that race. Thomas Hinds will get the front row ahead of Jeremy Washington, Mitch Curry and Danny P on row 2, Ethan Johnson and Hayden Veld on row 3, then Reese Wakefield and Jackson Starrett ahead of Ryan Palmer, and James Salhani rounds out your top 10. Mick Polly and Josh Harris just outside it, with Kyle Ridley and Chris Lashbrook behind them. Brian East and Chris Croat coming home in row 8. Ian Ward and Dean Power ahead of Martin Lipsky and Luke Patton. Lipsky's actually been pretty quiet tonight, but he's doing all right. He's getting some decent results under his belt by just staying out of trouble a bit. And it seems to be all it takes here tonight at Hungaroring. Vince Salvatore and Ruben Dan not getting caught up in too much either. Brad Coates not having a great run, nor is Sebastian Varndell. They'll be starting on row 12 ahead of Thomas Cool and Jared Burns. Then Luke Hyde and Nathan Bowman ahead of Charlie Milliken and Lucas Baker back in 30th, with Luke Newing and Keith Logan. Then Scott Bartine, the safety car driver. I suspect that Doug Gowans, I don't think we've actually seen him take to the racetrack here tonight, unless I am mistaken. So I don't think he'll be taking any part in this final race either. But let's head on down to the grid and see what we can find out, because we are getting ready to go racing now, and the drivers starting to make their way on to the grid with just a minute or so to go here. Let's hear it in the chat. Any predictions for this one? I can see already on the grid just a gaggle of ADHD cars there in the middle of the pack, and that should be a massive red flag and alarm bells for anyone around them, I reckon.
Yeah, make sure you keep one eye on the ADHD cars, because they're all sort of bunched in together. 1, 2, 3, and I can see the fourth one, Liam Ward's sort of further back in the pack. So these guys relatively close together off the start here. Which is going to be exciting for them, I'm sure. Not as exciting for everybody else, maybe. You know what happens when you put these cars close together. But it's going to be a very exciting race start. Hopefully, it's another good... We're getting dark here, I just realised, at the Hungaroring. It's quite overcast. So
yeah, I don't think we're expecting any rain, but it's certainly it's staying cool. Like, the humidity is just sitting there at the moment, so... Just a bit of cloud around, 22-degree track temp, so ever so slightly warmer, and that breeze is just hanging around. So conditions definitely there for some fast laps, but of course you've got to get those tyres up to temp before anything else. G'day, Biggles. Great to have you along, mate. Hope you're enjoying the coverage from outside the booth for a change. Good to have you along for the ride as well, mate. Predictions of Chris to make the top 10. Well, look, he's only got 4 spots to make up, so that's entirely possible. We're about 10 seconds away from finding out what this start will bring. Definitely clouding over, so that's not going to help the tyre temps here at all. Keep your eye, I think, off the start here, probably on Ryan Palmer back in 9th for a cracker off the line. Here we go. 5 red lights. And we are away for race number 3. Washington bogs down just a little bit. Have a look at the launch there from, was that Wakefield, jumping through the group immediately, and down we come towards turn 1, and we are once again going 2, 3, 4 wide. This is going to be messy, folks. That's what I'm predicting here, and I don't think we've got anyone sideways just yet, but the car bunching up. That is in fact Ian Ward in the background, who's ended up sideways in amongst all of that. Out in front, though, Thomas Hinds retains P1 for now. Jeremy Washington behind him, Veld into third, and getting a brilliant start up a few spots, so past Mitch Curry and Danny P. And we are off and racing again. I don't know if that was cleaner or worse than what we've seen so far. It's really hard to say until we get through a full lap here, Isaac.
I think I'm going to go bold here. I'm going to rank it race 2, cleanest. Race 3 in the middle, race 1 probably, because they didn't get very far before they had an incident. So this is somewhere in the middle between race, side by side.
Bit of contact there.
A bit of contact as well from Salhani. I think that was
getting a nudge
along.
along.
Back at Josh Harris, so getting a little bit of a hurry up. Ryan Palmer off to a great start. He's up in the 7th place off the start. He really nails those launches, doesn't he? He just walks off the line faster than everyone else. We're going to go 3 wide into this corner, surely not. Who is that? That is Ethan Johnson. We've got cars around. That's just Varndell and Mustang in the background as well.
Chris Croat.
Looks like Chris Croat. So a couple cars caught up in that incident. Luke Hyden as well has gained a spot. That is super messy We almost got through lap 1 without no more major incidents besides the first corner, but I think I put the commentator's cursor on, spoke a little bit too soon, but a great start again for most of the drivers. Hayden Veld up in the 3rd spot already. Thomas Hinz, though, leads the way and quite comfortably too, over half a second. Hayden Veld looks on the inside of Washington into turn 1, gets that move done actually pretty nice and clean, so he moves up to the 2nd spot. And it's business as usual from what we saw of race 1. It's Hinz leading from Veld.
Yeah, now he's got to do is hold on for another, 13 laps, and he'll be home really, really nicely. But Veld obviously looking to get a bit of a move on. Chris Lashbrook, for those watching carefully in the chat, has not moved from his starting position. So, depends on how you look at that. I think that's probably not a bad opening lap, considering how some others have gone, to still be where you started. Jeremy Washington's just picked up a slowdown, so he's run a little bit wide on that corner exit, so expect him to just drop back towards this group that we're watching now, with Danny P, Reese Wakefield, Ryan Palmer in the mix here as well. You can see Washington there just starting to drop back a little, but a few slowdowns getting just pulled off those corners as drivers explore the track limits on cold tyres here, just trying to find some kind of advantage at this early stage of race number 3.
Yeah, they're really trying to just use every little bit of gamesmanship they can to get themselves spots early. And this is Polly pushing forward through the field. He's got Chris Lashbrook behind. Chris Lashbrook, he's been a bit quiet tonight. He didn't qualify quite where he wanted to, but he's just slowly been moving through the field. He was 17th in race 1, 13th in race 2, and now he sits 13th in this race with a potential to move forward if he can keep it tidy here. And it's, I believe that is down the order. I was looking at someone else's moved up. Thomas Cool is up 10 spots already in this race, and Nathan Bowman's also up 11 spots in this race. So people are moving forward.
Have a look at these drivers trying to get some kind of heat into the tyres. It really does speak to just how much they're struggling to get the tyres up to temp on such a cold track. Now, that said, I stare at safety cars out. There you go.
Oh.
So I'm not sure what's happening. It might be Chris Croat's incident. Let's go back and take a look at this. The iRacing Designs replay picking up as he just has a big slide. Ethan Johnson in the background, not much to it, and everyone does manage to avoid him. So maybe not any of those incidents. It's Charlie Milliken's view. He just avoids Ethan Johnson. Oh, there it is.
Whoa.
Charlie Milliken had nowhere to go. That was Luke Ewing coming through there, and I'm not quite sure what's happened. He's ended up off the track and just bang straight across in front of Milliken, nowhere at all to go, and that would explain the safety car.
That definitely tells us what the issue was, and I think that was probably warrants a safety car.
In the scheme of things, yeah, that's pretty fair. Just trying to see if we can pick up what's happened there. We might go back just a little further as Luke Ewing made his way past Ethan Johnson. And I wonder if there was a little bit of contact there. Let's go back and take another look. So Ewing on the inside, contact with Brad Coates there. Just trying to avoid Ethan Johnson rejoining there. And just really unfortunate, couldn't get it pulled up. And that motor pops mid-air. Even if the motor was going, though, the rest of that car absolutely not up to it. And Brad Coates probably thanking his lucky stars that he didn't come off worse as well, I reckon.
Yeah, I think he's absolutely thanking his stars that that's all that he had to deal with. That's all the damage that he got, because that was a massive accident for multiple of those drivers. Very glad this is virtual racing and not real racing, because if that was a real life accident, that would have been very nasty and for sure would have been some concerns. But thankfully, they just press a button to go back to the pit lane. They'll hopefully repair the cars that they can repair will be repaired, and the others will just have to sit back and relax and watch. But now we have 3 safety cars in 3 races. So if we're going off safety car percentage rates at the Hungaroring based on this round, we've got a 100% chance of a safety car in a race here at the Hungaroring.
Yeah, it's look, it's definitely living up to it. You know, you talk about this being safer. I actually just this morning, as you do, wake up, scroll through the old Facebook feed, bit of doom scrolling to start your day, never hurts, right? But came across a really cool little concept video of a Simrig add-on And I've got no other way to explain it except that it was a G-force simulator for your head. Basically a helmet you chuck on with a couple of ropes attached that jerk your head around in line with the G-forces being experienced. And I can only think just what sort of impact you'd have wearing that if you were unfortunate enough to be in Charlie Milliken or indeed Lee Newing's car at that point. I don't know that you'd walk away intact.
No, I think at that point I would probably rip off the G-force helmet simulator and say never again. that is
if you had any neck left to do it with, that's the biggest concern, isn't it?
That's very true.
Brutal.
Absolutely brutal. And I'm sure he would be, if they did have the G-force on there, I'd be feeling that. Thankfully, the most I probably feel is in their arms and wrists with the impact that they had from the wheel. Because I'm sure the wheel probably would have been torn away from them as we have another look at this replay.
Ruben Dan just having a bit of a moment
on his own,
trying to just catch up to the group, I think, more than anything. But thankfully not a lot of damage there.
No, he's gotten away with that, which is
just barely.
Just barely, but he has gotten away with it. But yeah, it's a little bit of an interesting incident to have. Not one we've actually seen. I think that's unique to the incidents we've seen so far. Not the first person to sort of spin on that outside curb and split themselves into the inside wall.
Yeah, look, I'm surprised we haven't seen it more. Honestly, that corner is really, really easy to get wrong, and yeah, it's something that I kind of expect to see a little more often, honestly, than we have, because it does have a tendency to just bounce you if you try to cut that curb too much, or indeed run too wide. The V shape of the gutter on the outside is not actually super conducive to smooth exits. So we've only seen one. It's a bit weird, but hey, and I don't think there's been anything normal about the race here tonight.
No, it's not been a normal evening of racing by any means. Just get safety car in this lap, so we'll get a restart this time by Thomas Hins. Now also gets an opportunity to lead this field away. He's going to have a lot of pressure from that man in second place in Hayden Veld. He's desperate for a race win tonight. We've seen he's sat in second in both races so far. He's been absolutely desperate to try and move forward. And Ryan Palmer, we also know he has a lot of pace here, so he'll be trying to move forward, I'm sure, on the safety car restart as well. Watch for them weaving down the front straight to try and warm up those tyres.
We go green, and Hins looks for the jump and gets just a little bit of distance there to Hayden Veld on the way down the front straight. We go green, lap 5 of 14, and already you can see cars in the background still weaving, trying to get temperature into these tyres. And we've got all sorts of moves. Everyone gets 2 and 3 wide through turn 1. Thankfully, all making it seems in one piece, although Ethan Johnson had picked up a black flag in there somewhere. Ian Warder seems to have had a bit of an issue as well. So we see a lot of these positions start to change as we just get different lines through the first couple of corners. Hayden Veld picking up a slowdown, and we've got a cut off backwards. It's Mitch Curry.
Oh no! Mitch Curry, he was performing absolutely phenomenal. We've got more cars going side by side in the background with bodywork coming off. So everyone's got the gloves out. Mitch Curry, he's had such a strong evening. Really good performances in the first 2 races, and it's just sort of come unstuck in this last race with that spin there. It's super unfortunate for him. He's right down the back of the field now. I'm sure he'll be kicking himself, but he's got to have his chin. I reckon he has to hold his chin up high with the performances that he's put in those first 2 races. He's got some serious pace around here, but Jeremy Washington's now found his way past Hayden Veld as a result of that slowdown. So Jeremy Washington has put a car between Hayden Veld and the race win, and now he has to do a little bit more work to try and get back up in the second place.
Yeah, it's still plenty of work left to do. It's not even close to the end of this one. And yeah, Washington's going to be under all sorts of pressure, because if it's not Veld, he's got Danny P, he's got Reese Wakefield, he's got Ryan Palmer, Jackson Starrett. Look at this group as they make their way around. It's well, that tells you just how closely knit they are as they come across our camera there at the turn exit. Nothing in between them, and you can see spreading out all over the track as Washington defends really, really hard on the inside. Veld's going to try and go around the outside of 1 to set himself up for 2. And Washington's going to need to get a real move on here, because Veld at the moment has the position and looks like he's going to cement this and go up into P2. Washington sits just a little wide and invites Danny P to have a bit of a crack at this. Washington setting up for defence on the kink, but Danny P will have a lot of extra pace here as they come down the straight.
Yeah, this is a super difficult corner to try and make a move around the outside though, and Jempol just slots back in behind.
Big slide there and off he goes.
That's a big slide and he's gone off the circuit. Maybe a little bit of help from his teammate on the exit there, because Reese Wakefield just sort of had nowhere to go on that slide, but that was a massive moment for Daniel Polton, and he'll drop right back down the order, we only dropped back to 8th place, so he didn't drop right back down the order, but he did drop a couple spots, but that was huge heart-in-mouth stuff for Daniel Polton, and I'm sure Reese Wakefield also saw his life flash before his eyes as well, as his teammate has spun in front of him.
Yeah, I don't think there's actually any help there. I think it's just cold tyres. You know, people forgetting that we're just off a safety car that came early in the race, so not a lot of heat in the tyres at all. And here we are, just cars sliding off the track at corners that they'd usually take flat out. You really, really have to wait out the temperatures coming up. I mean, we look at the track temp still at 22 degrees at the moment, so it's not gotten any warmer since the start of this race, and these tyres will really 7 laps in. I mean, we heard it from James Salhani just earlier. You know, it was taking 6 or 7 laps of race pace to get any sort of temperature into the tyres, and I reckon that's probably a little bit of what we're seeing. Reese Wakefield now right in behind Jeremy Washington.
Yeah, Reese Wakefield is getting this podium. He's not had the strongest evening since James Salhani up the inside of Josh Harris. Josh Harris is going to try and do the switch back here, but I don't think he's got enough pace in the straight line to walk back past him. But yeah, Reese Wakefield not had the best of evenings, I would say, for the man that's leading our championship. He struggled a little bit here this evening. In saying that, he's been in the top 10 consistently, probably almost in the top 5 consistently, but he's just struggled a little bit with the pace, and I think a podium to end off this evening would really be what he needs to just give himself that little pep in his step going into the next round.
Yeah, look, certainly trying to find it at the moment. Thomas Hin's out in front though, looking reasonably comfy. Reasonably. I mean, Hayden Veld's still right there. It's only 1.2 seconds, so we're not talking, you know, half a lap of distance, but to have Veld outside of the slipstream, it must be nice. Yeah,
and I think this is what we saw in the first race as well. It wasn't a huge gap. It's still starting to continue to grow a bit more. Thomas, it wasn't a huge gap between Hinz and Veld, but I think it was just enough that Hinz wasn't really worried about the car behind. It was just comfortable enough for him, and that's what we're seeing at the moment as well. Hinz, I don't think he's too concerned about the car behind at this stage. He's more eyes forward, not concerned. We've got this car, Ruben Dan,
Brad Coates throwing that McLaren at him.
Trying to find a way past. He absolutely wants to get through, does Brad Coates, but you're going to have to bide your time a little bit here. You don't want to get too dirty. As we had the sun out on the track earlier, and now we're back behind clouds again. So that cloud cover, that'll take some temperature out of the track surface as well with no direct sunlight on it, which will make it even harder to bring these tyres back up to temperature. So they're going to be working overtime just to get a little bit more temperature in those cars. We see side by side on the run towards turn 1. That is Baker and Lipsky, I believe.
Yeah, Lipsky around the outside, getting pushed back through the field as Baker and Polly both go through the 2 Southern Cross Racing entries, just forcing their way on through. Lipsky now under real pressure from Crote, who looks to be around the outside, but Lipsky with the inside run will set up nicely here. If he can just defend the kink before the run down straight, and it looks like he's managed to do that at least for another lap. In the background though, look at this, almost 3 wide between Coates, Dan and Ethan Johnson. Bit of contact there, takes the 2 of them out wide, and Ethan Johnson very brave to stick the nose in there. That could have been dangerous. He knows that those 2 cars will both have a slowdown, but it does look like Johnson's carrying a black flag. Now whether or not he's seen that is another question, because I think he's had that on there for a little while, and he's got to be flirting with a disqualification if he doesn't come in to serve that pretty soon.
I think he's had that for at least a lap or 2, so hopefully he knows he's got it and he has to be in the lane soon, because otherwise that will result in a disqualification, and Sebastian Rundell also having to have one. James Delhani overtakes Kyle Ridley, who's serving a slowdown penalty as well. So slowdowns left, right and centre this evening, which is making it challenging for these drivers to hold on to track position, as Thomas Hinz sets the fastest lap of the race with a 42.8, I want to say. as I try and read the purple that was on my screen. But
I can't
he's
look away
he's
from
going
this.
quick out there.
Ethan
I
Johnson,
cannot look
he's
at
going to
Johnson.
cross the line. I reckon there's going to be a disqualification
Is
flag
this-
here.
Is this a disqualification for Ethan Johnson? It is, yeah.
Ethan Johnson, the disqualification, and he's not happy at
Not
all.
happy. He's not happy, but he's had that flag long enough that he should have seen it, should have been aware. His race information would tell him, or his race engineer would tell him that he's got one, and that is super disappointing for Ethan Johnson, that now he doesn't just serve the drive-through, he actually serves a disqualification, and that will take him out of the remainder of this race.
That it will now. Now that said, there it is. So it takes a while to actually remove them from the race, but Ethan Johnson gets unceremoniously kicked to pits. And yeah, I'll tell you what, the new UI has caught a couple of that. I'm sure we saw a very similar story last week, didn't we? With one of the drivers just not seeing it and getting disqualified. I don't know if Biggles is still floating around there, but pretty sure we called something almost identical to that. And you got to wonder if drivers are just not seeing the flags with the new UI, still adjusting to it, and yeah, not able to figure it out. Question in the chat: did Chris get caught up in Curry's crash? Look, I don't think we saw anything, but I'll take a quick look and see if we can figure out just what's happened to Chris Lashbrook to drag him back through the field. He did have a pretty significant off track that dropped him a long way through. The iRacing Designs replay will pick this up beautifully, and there it is, just up and over that inside curb, and just manages to tap the wall. So I don't think you'd be too upset about that impact, but look at the stream of cars coming through behind, so that's why he's dropped so far down through the field. A really, really awkward spot. As you see the rejoin there, getting a bit of a flash of lights for Vandel's effort at a rejoin. Now, interestingly, Sebastian Vandel, as he has a big moment there, he's carrying perhaps a little bit of damage and just getting into it with Luke Hyden, but Vandel is carrying a black flag as well. And I think he's flirting with it here as well. If my count is right, I think we're about to see him knocked out of this as well. Wait for him to cross the line here. Okay, so still holding it. Still holding. That front left though, or the front end entirely. Look at the front wheels. There is absolutely no kind of alignment on that thing at all, and somehow Vandel's. I don't know if the two sides just cancel each other out there. Like, take a close look at this, folks. That's
some aggressive toe.
That is aggressive toe is probably the least overstated thing I can imagine to say right now. Can you imagine the temps that those tyres are getting up to for Vandel right now? Because those are pointing in towards the missing front bar.
Yeah, they are going to be, and I think. I believe that's Hyden behind Luke Hyden. He will be not a happy camper because he's stuck behind this car that has a black flag, so it's going to be taken out of contention from this spot anyway. Has got the world's most aggressive front camber that I've ever seen on a car as a result of contact with
and still driving, to be fair, and still driving.
And he's got a massive train of cars behind him. Power's trying to find a way past Luke Hyden, and Luke Hyden just wants Sebastian Vandel to kindly go through the pits this lap and get out of the way so he stops losing positions. Yeah,
not so much to ask, right? I don't know. We'll keep an eye on it. Vandel continues to drop further and further back through the field. 20 seconds the gap. I think that's another probably 5 seconds from where he was, but it does look like a bit of movement behind him. Dean Powell, Mitch Curry, Luke Hyden, all kind of just switcherooing behind Vandel as we come around again. Now, surely at this point, Vandel's got to be. He's got to be close to a disqualification, and there it is. Picks up the disqualification, and not at all surprised to see it because he's been carrying that black flag for ages. So he'll be dropping out of this one in just a moment, and these guys will have a clear run past what was formerly a Mercedes on track. Just needs a little bit of dental work on the front end there, straighten everything out, maybe some braces. I don't know. In any case, Vandel not looking in the best of shape. And there he goes, removed from the track, and these guys will carry on. Dean Powell out in front of Mitch Curry, Chris Lashbrook in 24th ahead of Luke Hyden in the Corvette. And they can all breathe a sigh of relief now, knowing that everyone will be going the way their tyres are actually pointing at this point.
very glad. I'm sure Luke he won't be happy. He lost 3 spots as a result of being held up there behind Sebastian Varndell. But this is back to the battle for the lead. So Hayden Veld, with 3 laps to go in this race, has reeled in Thomas Hinz. And this is what he couldn't quite do in the first race. Hayden Veld just sort of, or Thomas Hinz, I should say, just sort of walked away with it in a sense. But now, look at them, line stern, nose to tail. They have managed to secure the magnets to the back of that Corvette so that Hayden Veld can pull him back in. And now they've got 3 laps to try and sort this, or 2.5 laps now to try and sort this out, and who's going to win this race.
And there's not a lot in the pace here. Veld only took, 0.25 out of Hin's last lap. But if he continues to do it, he's going to be really, really threatening for the rest of this race for Thomas Hinz, and the work's going to be cut out for him. And we've already seen that Veld's not afraid to push the friendship just a little as we see them come through. And Hinz he's hanging in there, but yeah, definitely will be feeling the pressure, because Hayden Veld is going to just stick to him, and I would imagine that Veld's going to save the move for as late as he possibly can, at a point where he can defend very, very easily from there on. So it's always a challenge, isn't it? You try and pick where best to pass, so you're not going to hand an opportunity back to your opponent within the next lap or so. But of course, you don't want to miss an opportunity either. It's a tough call.
It is a tough call. If I'm Hayden Veld, turn 1 or turn 2 on the final lap, that's where I'm looking to make this move stick for the race lead. So I just want to sit in behind Thomas Hinz for as long as I possibly can, bide my time, make sure that I stick with him, make sure I'd be paying attention to how he runs this final sector. Where can you gain time with him in the final sector to make sure you maximise the run out of the final corner, so that when you get to turn 1, turn 2 on that final lap, and this is what he'll need to do this time around, make sure he sticks as close as possible, because this is the last opportunity here, really, for any sort of meaningful move to be made without someone making a mistake. You can see he got a little bit loose on the exit of 2 there, did Hayden Veld, so he was just squirreling on the exit, so he's struggling a little bit for tyre tap now, sitting right in behind the Corvette. The tyres will be overheating, the front tyres especially will be feeling the heat right now, and he can see just the micro adjustments on the exit. He has to do a little bit of oversteer, correct the car, cross the, because that's really nice through that chicane. Actually, that's exactly how you want to take that chicane every time, and this is the crucial part of the sector now for Hayden Veld, where he has to keep with Thomas Hinz, make up all of that time, because he lets him get away here, that's opportunity gone coming into turn 1, turn 2.
Yeah, and this is coming down to absolute crunch time. Veld just, look, he's throwing everything he's got at it, and you can see how much he's having to just correct as the rear end steps out. He's pushing that car very, very hard, but cannot quite seem to find the composure that Thomas Hinz has had throughout this race. And look, anything can happen. He's still got a lap to go now. They'll come around and get the white flag here, but it's far from decided. Veld runs very, very wide. I'm surprised he didn't get a slowdown for that one. In fact, he must have just avoided it. But we are onto the final lap here, ladies and gents, and Thomas Hinz enjoying a half second of gap. He's going to need every bit of that, I reckon, because Veld is about to try and steam through in that Lamborghini.
And keep an eye on Ryan Palmer and Reece Wakefield. That battle's going on for the last spot on the podium as well. So there's battles everywhere you look at the moment for crucial places. Jeremy Washington was actually in 3rd place, but he's lost out to both Reece Wakefield and Ryan Palmer. So he's fallen down to 5th now and under pressure from Josh Starrett. So, but with half a lap to go now, the pressure is on Hayden Veld. If I'm Thomas Hinz, I'm probably not feeling the pressure as much at the moment. The pressure, more on the man in 2nd place, Hayden Veld, to make something happen before they get to the end of this race. But he's really out of the key opportunities. There's not really anywhere else. Maybe down into not really the penultimate corner, the turn before the penultimate corner. So 3 corners to go off the end of this. That's really where he's going to be his final opportunity. But I don't think he's got enough run through here to make that count. He is close. As we see the tracking shot, lovely camera work here. Tracking shot down towards, this is the last opportunity into this corner right here, if he can get close enough, which he's not. So that's sort of it for Hayden Veld. I think this is Thomas Hinz, unless he makes a mistake from here.
Yeah, you can't see it happening at this point, and Thomas Hinz driving a brilliant race right through, and has led from start to finish. So a great result for him. He's about to cross the line. Hayden Veld will have to be content with 2nd, and we'll check in immediately after with Reece Wakefield and Ryan Palmer as they come out of the final turn. But a great finish there for Hinds and for Veld. Wakefield holds on to it. Palmer just couldn't close it up in the end. And probably the one time you'll see a flash of lights as a congrats on the result, because that would have been a massive drive from Wakefield as they run alongside. Down towards the finish, Washington, Starrett, Danny P behind them. Got a couple of battles still going on in the background. You've got Nathan Bowman here, desperately looking for a way past Vince Salvatore to finish off his race. And right behind him is Dean Powell. Actually, sorry, that's Ian Ward, Brian East. My goodness, I'm just going to run through the whole list of names, Isaac, and I'll get it right eventually. Bowman looking around the outside here. He's gone very, very wide. He's going to find himself off in those marbles, and I think that might be it. I think Salvatore can probably call that one his. It's going to be too hard for Bowman to pull that one back. So he'll come across the line and pick up 19th, up 2 spots from where he started.
What a result. That seems to be it. I'm just trying to get as well, is there any key movers in this race? Thomas Kuhl and Jared Burns, 11th spot, up 14 spots in this race. Lucas Baker also up 14 spots in this race at the end. So 2 massive movers. That's a lot of positions for the Koala Cartel, McLaren, and the Blackhawk Motorsport Pro. They did a brilliant job.
Yeah, massive drive there. 14 spots up, no mean feat. Lucas Baker did well in amongst it all. Really a lot of big movers throughout the field. You know, to move up anything more than about 3 or 4 spots at Hungaroring is a pretty big effort, and there's plenty of drivers that did that. Unfortunately, it came at the expense of a lot of other drivers. Mitch Curry down 19 positions across the course of that race, rather. And you know, Brian East down 11, Ian Ward down 13, Ethan Johnson down 24 positions before his disqualification there. And yeah, Luke Newing, I mean, what can you say about his incident? That was absolutely massive. To have Charlie Milliken, you know, still finishing in a reasonable spot is not bad either. But Thomas Hinds, look, he's absolutely deserved the win here tonight. Drove brilliantly, held off Hayden Veld for a very, very long time indeed, and he'll be in to chat to us in just a moment, I'm sure, as we go to take a look at the official results for race number 3 here tonight. And it looks a little something like this. Thomas Hinds takes the win ahead of Hayden Veld, Reece Wakefield, Ryan Palmer, and Jeremy Washington not too far further back. Starrett, Poulton and Salhani ahead of Kyle Ridley, and Josh Harris sneaks in to the top 10. We've got a few drivers waiting for us here, so we may as well start to bring them on in and say a big hello to Reece Wakefield. G'day, mate. Welcome back to the booth.
Good evening, lads. How are we?
Look, I think it was a lot easier for us here than it was on track. Just as a bit of a guess, it looked like hard going out there through all 3 races. How are you feeling?
Yeah, all 3 races were a little tough. I don't think I was particularly suited to this track, but look, I made the most of what I could. I'm not going to complain about 3 top 5s at the end of the day, so yeah, good for the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. And mate, the points are, of course, the thing that are on offer here tonight, and really hard to I guess hold off from trying to send a few moves here tonight. We saw it happen a few times where people perhaps pushed a little bit too hard. Just how much of this was a mental game tonight to just, you know, not throw the car into every corner and just jam it up the inside of every other driver in front of you.
Very. Look, I feel like the only real passing opportunities around here is turn 1, the corner, the right-hander after the kink, and maybe one odd corner in that last sector. It's a very difficult track to pass on. It's a lot of high-speed one-line kind of stuff, but yeah, it was very difficult not to send it up the inside of a couple people there. But at the end of the day, I have a championship to think about, so that's all I was doing really. Trying to salvage the most out of what I could.
You best be careful, Reece. Someone might accuse you of actually maturing as a racer, mate.
Whoa, okay, hold up a second. Let's not go that far, please.
Let's not go throwing anything out there we can't take back again, hey? Mate, a great drive tonight, exactly. Seriously. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go back to it?
As always, the OPR boys, everyone at OPR. Danny P, my teammate, for spinning ahead of me and giving me another position. That was nice.
He did move nicely out of the way, didn't he?
He did. And obviously you guys for putting this on every week. Great broadcast. It's great fun out here, but also very competitive, which I like. So,
mate, always a pleasure to have you along. Go and catch up with Danny and give him a proper thank you for getting out of the way, mate. Congrats again on the results tonight.
Will do. Thank you, guys.
Reese Wakefield there, and we'll go now to second place in the third race there, but certainly featuring pretty much all night. Hayden Veld, welcome to the booth, mate.
Hey again.
How was that out on track? It looked like hard work. Reese certainly seemed to agree with us. You had your work cut out for you, especially in race 2, really having to charge your way through. Race 3 though, Thomas Hinds, you just couldn't quite find that last half a second, could you?
Yeah, race 2 was good. Nice start helped. I've sort of figured out the start's done a little bit of practice. That definitely helps you. You can pick off 2 before you even get to a corner. But in race 3, I sort of used up quite a few of the off tracks getting to Hinsey, and then had a bit of a dip, but I didn't want to risk going for it for the extra 3 points or whatever. I actually don't know what the number is.
There's not much in it. Yeah, you're talking a couple of points at the end of the day for sure.
So I just didn't really think that it was worth going for a Hail Mary bomb, because that's sort of what you have to go for in the Lambo. You don't have the legs to get up the side and down the straight, so you have to be real deep. So I just didn't think it was worth it, so I just sort of sat there and conserved second.
Well, mate, some good results overall. We'll take a look at the championship points in just a moment, but anyone you want to give a shout out to before you let you go back to it and carry on with what I'm sure will be an interesting debrief for everyone tonight?
Yeah, a big shout out to my main crew chief, Ghetto. He was running the numbers all night, telling me to stop getting off track, so he was very useful there. Shout out to, I'm gonna have to give a shout out to Sabrina again. Good music to listen to during the race, and a lot of the times there's only 1 degree of separation between me and the other guys out on track, so it was pretty good to see. Gonna give an unshout out to Liam, because he was actually there all night but he didn't race, so yeah, unshout out to him. Obviously you guys, Logitech, best in the business. Shout out to Reese for getting a Logitech headset actually.
Yeah, it's a good start. It's a good start, absolutely. Hayden, always a pleasure, mate, to have you come and join us here. Congrats again on the results tonight, and hopefully a bit of movement in the championship ladder when we take a look in just a second.
Yeah, too easy. Cheers, boys.
Hayden Veld taking out a P2 there in the final race. We'll go now to the man himself, Thomas Hinds. G'day, Thomas. Welcome back to the booth, mate.
Hey, how you going?
Look, I'll be honest. I'm a little bit miffed. And the reason I'm a little bit miffed is that I've just gone looking to try and find some kind of marked event or something in the replay from race 3 so we can chuck a bit of your car up on screen. And would you believe the only thing that came up in our telemetry of note was you entering the pit lane at the end of the race, mate. That was so clean out in front all night tonight. It must have been nice having all that clear air.
Yeah, it was nice for a change. I rarely, because I usually cannot qualify at all, I'm always having to fight through. So for a change, it was nice to actually get to the front and actually lead. It was good. It's not something I'm very used to, as I say, I'm always fighting through. So it was a bit different, but it was good to actually just be able to knuckle down and get some laps done. Obviously, race 2 didn't quite go to plan, but ended up kind of working, give me the pole for race 3 anyway. So I suppose in a sense, it was blessing in disguise, I suppose.
I mean, you take them where you find them at the end of the day. How did you find the racing generally here tonight? It looked like quite a bit of hard going throughout the first couple of races. Obviously, the third race a bit different for you, but definitely everyone having to throw everything at it for those first couple of races just to try and find a pass here at Hungaroring. What was your take on the first 2 races particularly?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, it was hard racing, which is always good. I'm always a fan of hard racing. Yeah, it was a little bit. I don't know. There was a little bit on edge all the time. There was a lot of stuff that was a little bit, interesting to deal
ambitious,
with.
Perhaps.
Yeah, some ambitious stuff going on. Which it's hard racing. We're all trying to keep position. It can be very hard to get past done. You've got to send in there sometimes to get it done, and I understand that and I get that obviously. But yeah, it was a little some adventure stuff going on, but overall it was still good fun. I still had a great time, and again it was kind of fun again in race 2, getting to just lob it through the field there to try and get back. So yeah, it was hard racing, a couple of little moments here and there, but overall now good fun.
Mate, great to see, and glad you enjoyed it. We'll give you the last word before we let you go. Anyone you want to shout out to or say hello to before you do head on back?
Just as usual, thanks to the base show boys as always. Henry for getting a lovely looking Corvette for me to race is very much appreciated. Love the look of it, that dark purple. I'm always a really big fan of that. I think it looks really nice on most cars, honestly. There's not many I've seen where it doesn't work. Big thanks to them, obviously big thanks to the guys in MC. What a great league. It's very well run, and you see the great racing on display, so it really shows in the product as well. And obviously big thanks to you guys for broadcasting for us and catching all the action as well.
Mate, cannot agree more. Not enough purple cars out there. It
I
always
agree.
looks well. Yeah, gotta love it. No, mate, a great drive, and congrats again on all of the results tonight. We're going to go and take a look at the championship standings while you go and unwind a bit and have a well-earned drink.
Thank you very much, mate. Thank you.
Thomas Inzer takes the win in the final race of the night, and Isaac, we should probably take a quick look at the championship points. Again, provisional, of course. There's always the various penalties and drop rounds and all that kind of thing to take into account. But would you believe that based on tonight, we've had no movement at all across the top 4? There's perhaps a little bit less of a gap in some instances, but it still remains at this stage Wakefield, Veld, Bolton and Hinds.
There's a 3-point swing at this stage in favour of Hayden Veld. He's getting 3 points on Reece Wakefield after all that tonight. So
it makes you wonder why you come and race for that sort of thing, doesn't it?
I think Reece Wakefield and Hayden Veld, they've both pulled a bigger gap back to Daniel Poulton, so that gap has grown. Thomas Hinds is close to Daniel Poulton, but yeah, 3 points after 3 races. So much action that we saw. Both those guys had up and down evenings in many different respects, but 3 points for Hayden Veld is not a lot, but it still could make the difference at the end of the season. But James Sohani up 6 spots in the championship to get himself into the top 5. That's a pretty awesome effort after tonight.
Yeah, he's definitely picked up some good points here tonight, a couple of strong results. It's always tough when you do these sprint rounds because each of the 3 races, you've got to give it just as much, if not more effort than some of your longer races, and the points are just not there for each of the positions. So you've really got to perform across the entire set of races, and that can be really, really tough with the reverse top 10 grid. So James Sohani really benefiting from that tonight. We will, of course, take a better look at that next week once we have things updated and wrapped up from this evening. But that is next week, folks. That's yet to come, and of course we are pretty much at the halfway point of the season now, so it's starting to get to crunch time. A lot of these drivers will need to think pretty seriously about what their goal is for a finishing position here tonight. Plenty of opportunity, particularly in that kind of 6th through to about 11th or 12th. You've got drivers separated by very little in amongst all of that. So although the top end of the championship table is starting to look a little more difficult to catch up to for a lot of these drivers, still plenty of minor placings on offer across the second half of this season.
Yeah, still plenty of. I think that's evidenced by the fact that Ryan Palmer has jumped up 8 spots in the championship. Jeremy Washington's jumped up 8 spots. Jackson Stewart up 9. So there's still plenty to play for in these lower spots in the championship, and getting some good results with these 5 rounds to go will pay dividends, because one good round could move you up quite a number of spots. And you've got drivers out there like Sebastian Vandel, had a very difficult evening, didn't quite score the points I think he was expecting to score coming into this. So that's some other things to look out for, as well as those who have tough rounds are going to feel it on the scorecard later on.
Yeah, absolutely. So stick around. Make sure you do catch all of the action next Monday night as we head to Barber Motorsport Park for round number 6. There's still plenty of racing left ahead of us. Hungaroring, though, throwing everything at these drivers tonight. Plenty of tight battles, and really just absolute determination from start to finish across the 3 races for all of the drivers tonight. A massive thank you, as always, to French Car Care as the major sponsor for this season of the MC Motorsport GT3 Championship, as well as all of our other sponsoring businesses. Everything Simulated, iRap Designs, Maximum Effort Racing, Sixpence Coffee, and I'm sure I've forgotten someone in there as well. I'm sorry, guys. It's been a big night of racing. That's round 5 done and dusted for now, though. Isaac, thank you so much for joining me in the booth once again, mate. Looking forward to having you back again soon.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me once again. It's been an absolute pleasure. This series always turns on the racing, so it's really great to get back in the booth with yourself again. We always have a good time and watch some cars do some really cool things around the Hungaroring. It's been a pleasure. I look forward to doing it again, hopefully real soon.
Cannot wait. From everyone here at Simple Racing Broadcasts, folks, thanks so much for watching at home, and hope to see you back again tomorrow night for some V8 Supercar action, or indeed on Thursday for some Tasman Racing League GT3s. Whatever you're looking for, Simple Racing Broadcasts has you covered with all of the racing action throughout your week. Until next time, though, it is goodbye for now.